Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm, and you are watching 14th and final part of What If Naruto Was the Black Dragon of Apocalypse. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
It was late in the evening, and the lights of every bar, store, and restaurant in Fiore's capital city were on. To enjoy the end of this year's Grand Magic Games, people drank, ate, and partied with friends and family. Since the first year the GMG was formed, this had become a tradition. But this year's after-party looked like it was going to be the biggest because the celebrations had started early in the morning and were still going on, though they were slowing down a bit. As he drank some of his ale, a middle-aged man said, "Man, this year's games were something else." One of the man's friends almost turned red as he laughed. "I know, right? Even more so now that Fairy Tail has returned." A woman in her 40s, who was sitting at the same table, said, "That Wendy girl was the biggest surprise of all. Who knew that little girl had it in her?" The man in his mid-40s gave a nod. Not to mention the big reveal about who her father was. That was the biggest surprise of all. A waitress who was close by took the empty mugs quickly as she filled new ones and put them on the table. The woman laughed as she thought about Naruto's face and said, "Yeah, no one will ever look at those two the same way again." One of the men asked, "Hey, have you heard that the mages fought a bunch of dragons and Acnologia showed up to help?" Everyone looked at him as if he had grown 2 extra heads with horns. "What the hell have you been drinking to believe that crackpot nonsense? Hell will freeze over before Acnologia helps humanity, and the mages, especially the fairy tale mages, would never accept his help." Even though these people didn't know it, this statement was full of shocking irony. "Now that we're talking about mages, where are they? I heard that they were invited to the king's castle for a royal feast." The man in his 40s swore. "Damn, I'm jealous. Those guys must be having the best time of their lives." In the meantime at the castle, the members of Fairy Tail all said, "Wow." Wendy exclaimed, "This is incredible." "You bet it is." "Pretty," Lysana said in awe. "Ah," said Eclair as she noticed that many people were looking at her elegant red and yellow dress. "Don't worry so much, they're just looking at us with admiration," Mira said. "I'm not used to so much attention," Katyu said nervously, noticing how many people were looking at them. "After a while, you get used to it," the she-devil laughed. The two replied, "That's because you're a model with a body most people would kill for." Elfman called out from his table, "Hey, everyone, come here." Gray looked Gajeel over. The Iron Slayer wore a suit and had his hair pulled back into a ponytail. He finally told her, "That style doesn't look good on you at all." "That's the last thing I want to hear from you, stripper," Gajeel said to the half-naked ice mage. Urza said, "The other guilds have also come together. Have fun, but try not to go too far with the celebrations." Several people said, "Like that's likely to happen." Elfman cheered, "Men should eat." As he stuffed his mouth full of food, Evergreen told him, "Chew your food, you big oaf." Elfman ate his food in one big bite. "Sorry." "Ah, I'm going to have such a nice sister-in-law," Mira joked. "Mira." They both said at the same time. Wendy looked at the two people who were blushing and laughed. "How long has all this been going on?" Mira giggled. "For quite a while. We're just waiting for them to confirm it." Kana and Gildarts cheered at the same time, "Bring on the booze. Ease up, guys. We don't want you both passed out so early in the party." "Oi, Kana." The card magician turned around and saw a face he knew coming toward him. She asked Bacchus with a confident smirk, "Do you want to play another game?" The drunk fighter smirked. The two of them cheered, "You're on. And I won't lose this time." The people in Quattro Cerberus and Gildarts all cheered, "So wild, go Kana." Urza's mother and Jelal are talking to her about something that makes her feel very uncomfortable. Irene was wearing a beautiful black dress that looked a lot like the one Urza was wearing, but the colors were mostly black, white, and a deep shade of red. Irene said in a teasing way, "So this is the young man who stole my daughter's heart." Jelal and Urza turned red when the blue-haired star mage took a big breath. "Why yes." Urza begged her mother, "Please don't scare him again. His father has already done that." "Oh, come on, Urza, I'm not that harsh. Plus, your father covered everything. He won't let anyone hurt his red princess," Irene said with a coy smile. "But don't make me wait too long before you give me some grandchildren to spoil." Ka-san. Urza yelled with a red face. Jelal, who was just as angry, stuttered, I promise it won't be too soon or too late. Irene clapped because she was happy. Great. That's just what I was hoping to hear. Urza begged, please put an end to my pain. Ah. What a pleasure it is to embarrass your kids with their love lives, Goldmine said. It makes you think of when we were young, Master Bob said with a smile. Makarov laughed, I never thought I'd be able to eat a feast in the Castle of Fury. It's good to live a long life, Ujima said in response. Kiana said in a happy voice, I'm so glad to see you're free, Eric. As Cobra took a bite of his pork chop, he turned his head. It's Cobra, Cubelios. Kiana smiled as she poked the Poison Slayer in the chest and hummed. Then it's Kanana, Cobra-kun. Cobra blushed more than he should have, which made his Nakama laugh. Serrano teased, ah, look, Cobra is blushing. I guess even the cold-hearted Cobra can't keep his heart from melting for his woman. Richard yelled, it's love. Cobra roared in a funny way, piss off, all of you. The members laughed as Kanana stopped Cobra from attacking them. Ha 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 ha. Wave told Akame-chan, don't eat so fast. No one will steal it from you. Kurome agreed, saying, he's right, Nei-san. Akame moved her head no. Don't want to take any chances. Brandish held Laxus's left arm and asked, so this is the one you were talking about, Demaria? Demaria asked, isn't he something? The mage with green hair agreed. He is, yes. Laxus mumbled. I appreciate the attention, but give me some room. Demaria cocked her head and smiled, confused but amused. Don't like the view? It would be lying if I said no. Brandish nodded. Good. Then no complaints, Demaria said as she and Brandish cuddled up to him. Freed laughed to himself. Girls, go easy on him. He's easy to get along with. The Lightning Slayer jerked his head in the direction of his subordinate. Freed. Bixlow teased, he's a big old softy. The puppets of Bixlow said, softy. Laxus gave the two a very serious look. You two are both dead. Brandish and Demaria laughed. Brandish said, don't worry, we'll treat him very nicely. I won't go easy on you two, Laxus said. The two of them said at the same time, I hope you won't. Bixlow put on an act of sniffing. Freed, don't they grow up so fast? The script mage gave him a nod. It looks like he just moved out. Grr. See, even Zeke agrees. Anna said with a warm sigh, your mother told me so much about you. You were such a curious little thing about the world around you. It made me miss how Wendy used to be. Anna is wearing clothes that are similar to what she wore 400 years ago, or in chapter 512. Lucy laughed in a strange way. Oh, I really hope she didn't say anything too embarrassing. I wonder if this is how a parent embarrasses their child, Katya said with a drop of sweat on her forehead. Momin said, I hope you're ready for your turn, Katya. The brunette sighed and said, don't remind me. The yellow bird looked at their other friend and said, I'm sorry. What will we do, Eclair? I think we should stay. I think Naruto will tell me about my past, said Eclair, and the other two nodded. Anna-sama. Lucy-sama. When the two Heartfilia women turned around, they saw the Princess of Fury coming their way. Hisui Haim. You look absolutely stunning. The princess with green hair bowed in thanks. Thank you, Anna-sama. Then, Hisui made a sad face and bit her lip. Even though we caused so much trouble for you all, I want to thank you personally for helping my family and kingdom, she said with regret. Don't worry about it, Lucy said. Since I joined Fairy Tail, I'm kind of used to trouble. Anna gave a shrug. Since I met my wonderful husband, I'm used to having problems. Both girls looked at the older blonde girl. Is it really that bad? Asked Hisui. The blonde giggled. Let's just say that we used to think Naruto had the worst luck because he made so many enemies. We even thought about making an album with a list of all of them. Both of the girls sweated at the same time. Hisui finally asked with some fear, how thick would it be? Anna gave her head a tilt as she thought. I think a few volumes, she said. This answer made the girls' sweat drops grow. Hisui was worried about how many people would want to kill Naruto. Lucy was just worried about the trouble Fairy Tail will have to face in the future. At the same time, Wendy, Sharia, and Romeo were amazed by the amazing desserts at the party. The three were especially interested in a jello that looked very tasty. Wendy said, "Whoa, it looks like a jewel. I can even see it sparkle," said Sharia. "I wonder what it tastes like." Romeo asked. Wendy said, "Let's find out," as the three of them took a bite of the shiny jello. "So good." They all said at the same time. "Damn, it's amazing." When Wendy turned around, she saw Romeo and Sharia going on and on about how good the jello was. "They look so cute," Wendy said as she shook her head and turned a little red. "No, Dark, not now." Behind Wendy, someone said, "That looks so good." When the brunette and Romeo turned around, Mavis was staring at the dessert and drooling as she did so. "Show them." They both said at the same time. "What's wrong with you two?" asked Sharia, who didn't understand. Both of the sorcerers shook their heads. "Nothing. I forgot that only members of the guild can see them." Except for Dad, Naruto, Romeo and Wendy thought. Dark teased, "Be careful, you don't want her to think you're crazy." "Wendy, have you seen your father or Natsu?" asked Mavis. Wendy thought as she hummed. "Since you bring it up, no, I haven't." "Wendy, Romeo, there's a cold spot on my shoulder." Wendy said slowly, "Auntie, please slow down," so Mavis could only hear her. Mavis looked sad. Okay. With Mermaid Heel, the girls were in love with Kagura, who was in charge of their team. The sword mage wore a beautiful violet and gold dress with no sleeves that showed off her blossoming beauty. Her hair was pulled back into a ponytail, and a ribbon was wrapped around it. Arana gushed, "Wow, Kagura, you look so beautiful." Kagura grunted and turned red in the face. "I told you this doesn't suit me," she said with her eyes closed. Beth said, "What are you talking about? You look great. You underestimate yourself too much." Kagura looked down so no one could see her bright red blush. The other Mermaid Hell members laughed and had a good time. Then, one of the group members saw a certain mood demon behind the sword mage who was feeling embarrassed. "Come out from behind Kagura-chan, Sayla." The moon demon, who was shy, shook her head. "No, this is way too much for me." Most of the members said, "You were standing in front of an entire stadium full of people." Sayla said, "That was different, and I didn't have to wear a dress." However, that wasn't a very good reason, since her usual clothes were just as revealing, if not more so, than what she was wearing now. Sayla wore clothes that looked like Kagura's, but the colors were a dark navy blue and violet mix. Risley got a big grin on his face. "Oh, I see. You don't want Naruto to see you because it makes you feel bad." Sayla squealed, "Eep," as she tensed up. The people in her guild all smiled. Arana teased, "Aw, that's so cute. I have no doubt that Naruto will like the dress." Beth asked, "I wonder if Kagura feels the same way." When it was said that Naruto liked her, Kagura froze. Miliana teased, "After Wendy talked, you did look like you were upset." Kagura turned to glare at the people in her guild who were laughing at her. The shy girl begged, "Please don't remind me." Yay. Finally, we know something about Kagura. And since Sayla likes the same guy, we can help them both get the man of their dreams. All the members cheered, "Here. Here. Oh, please help me," the two girls begged at the same time. All of the members of Mermaid Heel looked up to see their two guild masters coming toward them. "Anna-sama. Irene-sama," they said in unison. "Do you like making Lucy and Urza look bad?" Miliana asked. Both women laughed. Anna said, "Yes, we've had a lot of fun with the girls." Irene went on, "And hopefully many more days to come." Sayla asked, "Have either of you two seen Naruto-sama?" Anna and Irene both nodded. "No, we haven't seen him yet," she said. Sayla said, "Oh," as she looked down. Even though she tried to hide it better, Kagura also seemed a little down. Anna gave a hug to the sad demon. "Don't worry, Sayla. Naruto said he would come, and I think he probably will soon." Irene also gave Kagura a hug, which made her very unhappy. "Kagura-chan, you don't have to hide how you feel. I know you also wanted to impress my husband." Kagura got red in the face as she put her head on Irene's shoulder. She moaned, "No, I did not." The Dragon Queen laughed at something funny. "I've never seen this side of you, Kagura. You only show it when you're doing something cute. It's so cute. Oh, my husband loves attracting tsuneres to him. I guess Urza will call you auntie or maybe sister, since you're both about the same age." "Please stop. This is embarrassing, begged Kagura, which made the other guild members laugh, except for Sayla, who was just as embarrassed by Anna's jokes. Don't worry, I'm sure he'll see you and your friend. We'll be ready to help, too. Sayla could no longer take all the teasing, so she rushed out and ran blindly. She ran right into Kagura, who was just as embarrassed as Sayla because Irene had finally let go of her. Oh. They grunted when they hit something hard. Ow. Said both girls at the same time. Sorry, Kagura. Sayla moaned from Kagura's back. He let out a sigh. It's fine, she mumbled, and as she did, she felt something hard and warm. She asked out loud, what did I crash into? A voice I knew said, ahem. The girl's eyes got bigger and she stood up quickly. When they saw that they had hit Naruto, they got red in the face. The blonde king had 3 separate coattails on his dark blue, almost black coat. The head of the pattern goes down the left shoulder, and the tail goes down the right. The coat has a silver lining all the way around it, and the inside has a silky silver flower blossom pattern. The cuffs have 5 silver-lined straps with buttons, and the shoulders also have straps. The blonde wears a navy blue ascot around his neck under the coat. Under that, Naruto wore a formal navy blue shirt with long sleeves that was covered by a sleeveless black vest. Lastly, Naruto wore charcoal-colored gloves without fingers, black formal pants, and dark boots covered by gaiters made of several straps of teal fabric. Virgil's outfit from Devil May Cry 5, with a few details from DMC3 and DMC4 SE, is what Naruto wears. Naruto smiled at the 2 girls, who were both tomato red. Are you both okay? Why yes, they both said at the same time. Naruto smiled when he saw what the girls were wearing, which made them blush even more. Naruto told them, you both look very pretty tonight. Thank you, Naruto-sama. Kagura and Sayla replied. Please just call me Naruto. That's what I like best, Naruto said with a smirk as he leaned in close to the 2 girls to whisper in their ears. I want you to know that, despite what I said the night before when we talked, I'm not against your courting. Maybe after this ball, when we're back to normal, we can learn more about each other. In a more private place. When Naruto leaned back to hear what they said, his hot breath came close to Kagura and Sayla's ears. This made them shiver. Sayla said with a bright red face, yes, please. Kagura turned her head to hide the fact that she was blushing. I wouldn't be 100% against it. Naruto smiled when he saw how the 2 of them reacted, especially Kagura. Ah, she has a tsundere side, how cute. This should be as funny as Tsukimi was when she liked me, he thought with a touch of nostalgia. Well, I have to go to my wives, but I hope to dance with you later. Both of them said, of course. Naruto smirked. Then it's a date. Naruto said as he walked toward his wives with a coy grin on his face. They both said with a smile. Naruto smirked.
Why are you all smiling?
He asked. Anna said, we both saw you with the 2 girls, and I must say I'm glad you're so interested in what they like. Naruto gave a shrug. I told Hinata and Wendy I would try to live again, which meant I would try to fall in love again. I don't think you 2 would like it if I broke their hearts. Oh, we would break your bones, Anna said with a smile. And maybe even some other parts. Irene said, then we'll get you to say you're sorry, and then we'll let you heal slowly. Naruto had a laugh. I thought I'd be the cruel one in this relationship, she said. The 2 gave a shrug. Oh, we have learned a few things from you over the years, Anna said. Naruto nodded. Alright, he said, and then he hugged them both tight. 13 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be here with you both again, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Anna and Irene gave back the hug with a smile. We wouldn't either. Hello, everyone. Yelled a voice that was familiar. When the 3 of them turned around, they saw the 5 dragons walking into the ballroom in human form. Naruto said, well, you do know how to clean up very nicely. Anna teased, to be fair, Metallicana, Acnologia, and Skiadrum were usually the ones with more manners than the others. Igneel just pouted and muttered angry words. Grandini asked, hey, what about me? Oh, you and my wives have always been a group, Grandma. I don't think I have to explain, Naruto said. The Sky Queen said, HMPH. That reminds me, Grandini, you look beautiful, Anna said. Irene laughed, yes, but her regular clothes showed off her natural beauty just as well. Naruto gave a snort. Yes, especially because it looked like. Please don't remind me, Grandini begged with a big blush. At this point, Wendy had arrived to see her two moms. She seemed fascinated by how the sky dragon looked. Wow, Ka-san, you look great. I'm sure your father will be crazy about you. Grandini moaned, Wendy. Oh, I am definitely feeling something, Naruto said. Grandini was going to say something, but Irene spoke up before she could. Okay, we can make fun of Grandma later, especially in a less public place. Grandini yelled, Irene. Anna giggled. Oh, we will, for sure. Grandini said, hey, don't I have a say in this? No. Said the two women of the end of the world at the same time. Grandini gave Naruto a mean look. That doesn't help. The blonde king shrugged. Like I could ever change their minds. You know that once they decide to do something, they won't stop, no matter what I say. The Sky Queen said, you're so annoying when it comes to them. Naruto smiled at her in a flirty way. Play your cards right, Grand, and you may be able to join them. Grandini turned a bright red color. She stutteringly said, which made everyone else laugh. Sting was trying to celebrate with the other Slayers at the same time. The White Slayer said with a smile, Natsu, I have a toast for us to share. He isn't here, Gajeel replied. What? Sting said it in a funny way. But I was going to give a speech and everything. Rogue shrugged. I guess it was a bad time. So does Fro, said the Exceed. Gajeel looked at the person who killed Shadows. Rios. Rogue gave a slight nod. Hi, I'm Rogue. I'm like that now. Wendy, Anna, Irene, her father, and the two dragons that look like people, Anna and Irene, went over to the other Slayers. You can't find this weird Natsu anywhere, she said. This caught the attention of the three killers. I thought for sure he'd be with you, Igneel-san, said Sting. Igneel moved his head no. Nope. Surprisingly, the brat left before any of us were finished. The Fire King looked at his king. Naruto, are you sure you have no idea where he is? Igneel asked. Naruto did nothing but shake his head. No. The last time I knew where he was going, it was here. I think? He is somewhere making plans. I hope there's nothing too bad. Wendy and Gajeel thought, but they knew what would happen deep down. Slam. When everyone turned around, Najenda was up on the canopy looking down at them. Quiet, all of you. He said. Now His Majesty will show up. She said. As everyone waited for the King of Fury to arrive, they all kept quiet. But, to the surprise of everyone in the ballroom, the person who came out wasn't King Toma. Instead, it was Natsu wearing the crown. Bow to me, my loyal people. Because I am here. Yelled the Fire Slayer. Everyone in the crowd yelled. Natsu put his arms out in front of him. Now I am the king. Gagagagagag. Urza merely facepalmed. Oh, for love's sake. Makarov was just shaking so much that his hair fell off. Master Makarov. Someone called out in alarm. There's my kid. Igneel yelled with joy. Don't encourage him, Igneel. Grandini told them to stop, but the other dragons were laughing and giggling. Anna and Irene shook their heads as they remembered how active the boy was as a child and how he still is now. Then, all of them turned to see Naruto burst out laughing in a very loud voice. Ha 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 ha. That was a good joke. That takes me back, he said in a tone that was both amused and sad. After a few minutes. After everything had settled down and Natsu had reluctantly given back the crown and quickly changed clothes, the king gave his speech. He thanked the wizards for doing so well in the Grand Magic Games and for being heroes when the dragons attacked. This party is to honor the mages and say thanks to them all. This feast was also a chance to show off the new dragons and the new friends they had made in Acnologia. It was a feast to mark the beginning of a new age. The time when people and dragons can live together again. Naruto seemed pretty uncomfortable with all the attention, which made a lot of people laugh. After this speech, the party got back on track. After almost everyone had eaten their fair share of the feast, the people who were there began to pair up and dance. Makarov, Ujima, and most of the other masters were grinning from ear to ear as they watched the young and old mages dance and enjoy each other's company. Ah. To be young again. Makarov sighed in bliss. Reminds you of your younger years, Maki? Master Bob was playful. I've been alive for more than 80 years. And seeing that everyone is happy to be there and can work well with each other. I feel like my kids are getting ready to fly the co-op. Feeling nostalgic? Goldmine asked. Makarov nodded. Yes, it makes me think of when we were all young and part of Fairy Tale. The former members let out a sigh of longing. Goldmine said, those were some good years back in the day. Regretful, Goldmine? Makarov asked, his eyebrows raised. The guy in charge of Cerberus shook his head. Oh no. I'm pretty happy with how my life has turned out. I have nothing to say. I have a wonderful life and a great guild that I can pass on to the next generation. Master Bob said. The person in charge of the Blue Pegasus turned to the Titan Mage. Mackie, what about you? Have you thought about who will take over? He asked. Makarov gave a headshake. Given what Guildarts did to me, I'm willing to put off retirement for a little while. But if I had to choose, I would pick either Urza or Laxus. Only those two can keep the guild together and keep it from falling apart on its own. You could always follow Mermaid Heel's path as a twin master. It seems to be going pretty well with them. Ujima suggested. Makarov rubbed his chin while he was thinking. Well, maybe, but I'll have to talk to them about it later. Poor Lyuzica told Mackie, don't talk about that for too long. I'm not really that old. I'm still in good shape to be a master. Makarov yelled in anger before he started coughing uncontrollably. The others did nothing but watch as drops of sweat fell. Makarov, that cough says otherwise. Goldmine said in a worried way. Makarov didn't pay attention to the looks he was getting. Calm yourselves. I know I need to choose a new leader soon. But I want to see how they grow over the next few months before I decide. I am surprised you didn't consider Naruto? Technically, he is not a member of my guild, and even if he was, I doubt he would accept, especially since he is the Dragon King, Makarov said. He also didn't know how the other members of his guild would feel about the decision. If I remember right, even with the Slayers, 7 dragons don't do much for a kingdom. Goldmine remarked. Let's call this the intuition of an old man. I've got a feeling dragons will be back soon. Makarov gave a reason. Naruto seems to like this dance the most when it comes to the Dragon King. Master Bob said. When everyone turned around, they saw several Narutos dancing with different people. Damned clones make things easier. Goldmine envied. Poor Lyuzica said in an amused way, it looks like Naruto isn't the only one who likes to use clones. Everyone laughed quietly when they saw Wendy dancing with 2 different people. Makarov gave a headshake. Like father, like daughter I suppose. When we go back to Magnolia, things are sure to get more interesting. Sting was looking at the dancing mages with a sad expression on his face. Fro was with him while Rogue and Minerva danced and the crowd cheered for him. The White Dragon Slayer would have been happy to stay out of the way and watch everyone have fun. Lucky for the young blonde, life went in a different direction. When Sting turned around, he saw a brown-haired girl in a yellow dress coming toward him. Miliana was her name, if he remembered it right. But he quickly started to sweat when he saw the cat mage tightly hugging the 3 fairy tale exceeds and singing a happy song about cats. Hey. Your name is Miliana, right? Sting asked. You're right. Miliana talked back. So, what are you doing with all of those exceed? Oh, I just want to hug these cute kittens. Gushed the cat-like mage. Sting started to sweat. I see what you mean. Fro is also a cute cat, the other person said. Miliana screamed and smacked him, along with the other 3, right away. Yes, you are. Sting stood awkwardly still as Miliana kept hugging the 4 of them. When she stopped and looked at him, she looked confused. Well, why are you here all by yourself? She asked. Sting shrugged. I'm not much of a dancer, so it's fine with me to just watch the party. Plus no one is available as a partner. Miliana smiled at him in a silly way. Well, I'm not sure about that. She put down the 4 exceed, grabbed Sting, and started pulling him toward the dance floor. Come on. Let's dance. Wait, I'm not good at it. Sting tried to say something, but Miliana wouldn't let him. Don't be so shy, I'll lead you, Miliana said. When they got to the dance, the person who killed White Dragon sighed. Since there's no way out, it might as well be over. Don't be mad if I step on you, Sting said. Miliana laughed and smiled happily at him. I already know it will happen. Sting couldn't help but smile when the girl said something nice. This might not be so bad after all. Gray-sama, I'm surprised you took me up on my offer, Juvia said in a happy voice. Gray's eyes rolled. Well, my immediate partner was already taken, so I needed to find another. Juvia made a fake angry face by puckering her cheeks. How rude. Gray laughed to himself. I'm kidding. Juvia kept being sad. You better be. I had no idea you were such a good dancer, Natsu. I guess what I learned from Urza helped. Lucy made fun. When Natsu thought about those lessons with the red-haired mage, he cringed. Please don't bring it up again. The last time she spun me, I still have sore spots, he whined. Lucy's eyes rolled. Natsu, you are such an old man. Natsu looked sad. Well, that's not secret, since you know how old I really am. The blonde bombshell looked over to see that Natsu was thinking hard. It's not every day that someone tells you that you're from 400 years ago. She wondered how the other Slayers would react to the news and what Natsu was thinking. Meanwhile, Natsu didn't know how to feel when he found out that he was from 400 years ago. Honestly, it doesn't bother him all that much. He can't remember anything from the past. Maybe this is a good thing for him after all. But he still feels like he needs to remember something from his past. Why does he think it has something to do with the power he used against future Rogue? Flames of hell, Natsu mused. As the words go through his body, he gets a little sick to his stomach. Something in the back of his mind kept telling him that he should know where these flames came from, but every time he tried to figure it out, it went away. It was annoying to be so close but also so far away. He was also angry about the fact that his power might have something to do with Zeref. Something in him told him that Zeref had something to do with this power, but he didn't want to find out how. Even after what happened the first time, he was afraid to try to use that power again. Natsu looked at Lucy, whose big brown eyes were looking at him. That jerk took her away from him. No matter what the future held, he did not protect his partner. His nakama. He was too weak, and his power didn't help him much. He needed to get stronger. He will not mess up again. And he knew two people who might be able to help. What is wrong with Natsu? Lucy asked out of worry. Natsu looked at her in a way that made her feel scared. When Natsu gave her a tight hug, her worry turned into surprise. Lucy got a blush on her face when she felt the warmth from his body wrap around her like a warm blanket. Nothing, was his reply. Just thinking about how I'll get stronger so that nothing bad ever happens to you. Never again. He swore. Lucy got embarrassed by what Natsu said because she was touched by how much he cared for her. It made her think of how Naruto helped her when she was hurt. Just her luck to be surrounded by such overprotective dragons. She put her arms around the back of him. Thanks, Natsu, I said. Who knew you could dance so well? Did my mom show you how to dance? Ultier asked her as she and her partner danced. Ultier, was many things. She wasn't a dancer. Leon spoke up. The time mage had a chuckle. I don't know much about her, as you know. I mostly heard about her from other people. I was hoping you and Gray wouldn't mind if I asked you to tell me some stories. We would, of course. I have to ask, though. What about asking Naruto? Oh, I'm going to ask him, too. I can tell he cared a lot about my mother. Leon laughed and hummed. It sounds like someone wants to talk to their dad, he made fun of. Ultier laughed out loud. Well, you were right. I've been pretty much raised by him already, so I wouldn't say I'm against it. Leon raised an eyebrow in surprise. Ho? I never really felt like I had a father. Hades would be the closest, but most people would agree that he wouldn't make a good father figure. Most people would say the same thing about Acnologia, Leon shot back with a smile. Most people don't know him either. Ultier replied with a smile. She turned around and saw that one of the Narutos was dancing with Anna. I don't think I've ever had an adult care about me as much as he does. Or he would talk to me like I was his child. It felt strange, but also good. I'm sure that he wouldn't mind. Ultier put her head down. The daughter of smiled at Leon and said, no, he wouldn't. Thank you for letting me talk on and on. Leon was happy. It's the very least I could do. Ultier smiled in a sneaky way. She joked, at least I know the guy who likes my daughter is such a gentleman. Leone tensed up and turned a little red. You've noticed, huh? I'm her mom, so I can tell when someone likes her. I'm pretty sure she saw the way you looked at her, so who knows? Leone let out a heavy sigh. I'm going to be in trouble since she is now unofficially Acnologia's granddaughter. Try being his daughter, let's see how that feels, Ultir said. Then I feel bad for Natsu, Jelal, and maybe Romeo and or Sharia. Leone joked. Ultir put on a fake look of anger. Don't act like a creep. Leone just gave her a smirk. Like you and I weren't thinking the same thing. Gajeel snarled and glared at his father, who gave him a satisfied, smug look. Levi told him, don't be such a grouch. I am not. Gajeel denied. I can't stand the smug look on that jerk's face. Levi turned red as she tried to look sneaky. That wouldn't have anything to do with him calling me your mate, right? Gajeel turned his head and got red in the face. Not at all, Levi said. This made him laugh. Evergreen and Elfman were dancing together, but they didn't look at each other because they didn't want to stare. Lisanna teased, you two could smile a little more. It would make it more fun. The couple yelled, be quiet. Urza asked Jelal, her dance partner, did you ever think we would be like this? Only in my dreams, he said, grinning. Urza giggled. Aren't you a charmer? She made fun of him. I want to make a good first impression. Urza asked, to me or my father? Jelal looked at his partner in a shy way. Urza hummed as she laid her head on Jalal's shoulder and said, to be honest, both. I guess I can't argue with that. Brandish was Bixlow's dance partner. He told Brandish, I hope I can make room for you at the next dance. Brandish laughed and said, you're doing just fine, and your so-called babies are cute. I have to thank your leader, though. When they turned around, Demaria and Laxus were dancing with a lot of joy. It's been a long time since I've seen Demaria have this much fun. Bixlow stood up straight. Well, my Laxus has always been great, but now he's the best. I'm sure everyone else will agree. I know how you feel. Freed hummed, Bullet told him, you know it's rude to stare. I just want to make sure that Laxus and his partner are getting along well, Freed said. The person who used Incurcio teased, someone is very attached to their leader. I look out for him, as do we all. Now that's the kind of loyalty I can admire and want. Freed was confused and asked, wait, what? Nothing at all. Wave laughed awkwardly as she stood a few feet away and watched the two people talk. It looks like Bullet has fallen for someone. Never thought he'd find someone who could deal with him, Karome said in response. I guess so. Karome gave Wave a sly grin as he looked at him. Like how you handle me. Wave almost couldn't breathe. Please don't say it out loud. You know how your sister is. Karome teased, but it's fun to see you wiggle. Wave muttered, you and your sister are such cruel people, as he danced with his girlfriend and watched his armored partner dance with a girl who might be his crush. He also saw Lubbock dancing with a commander with silver hair who he knew. One Wendy copy. Wendy said, hey, Oto-sama, to the clone of her father that she was dancing with. When Naruto saw his daughter pout in a cute way, he teased her, yes, might she be Heim. Is there anything else you're keeping from me and everyone else? Naruto cocked his head. You'll have to be a little more clear. Wendy's eyes got narrow. You said we need to be ready for war, but I know you're still keeping something from us, like there's something you don't want to talk about or are too scared to. Naruto was quiet as he listened to what his daughter was thinking. He will always be surprised by how open-minded his daughter is, just like her mother was with him. It seemed like both of them could tell when he was acting differently. He shook his head in his mind as he turned his attention back to his daughter. Naruto started with, Wendy, as he tried to say what he wanted to say. You must understand that it may seem strange for me, of all people, to keep secrets.
There is a reason why I keep some things to myself until the right time.
Wendy raised an eyebrow at that. Some secrets aren't really secrets because they start with a theory I might have. The dragons are a good example of this. I wasn't sure they were Inu Slayers, let alone where they could have been. That's why I kept that secret until I was sure and promised to tell you and others. And I did. Wendy's eyes rolled. Yeah, but a little warning that they would have come out of our bodies would have been nice, Naruto said, rolling his eyes. Then there are the secrets about certain people, which I can't talk about until I talk to those people and get their permission to do so. Wendy asked, what's the third reason? Naruto groaned. The third reason is that I have a theory about a possible future threat, but until I am 100% sure, I won't bring it up because I don't want to embarrass anyone. I want to be ready for any and all possible threats, but I also want to be sure that the threats are coming. But I will keep getting you all ready for whatever may come. Wendy had a worried look on her face. Zeref isn't what you're talking about, is it? Naruto gave a head shake. No, I'm not thinking about you. I'm thinking about someone else, but I won't know who until I look into it more. How should we get ready for that? Naruto smiled at his daughter in a sure way. We'll be ready, honey. I have a plan to bring some old friends back to the front lines. Wendy looked at her dad with doubt. What do you have in mind? Naruto smiled with his teeth. Oh my Chibiheim, what's the fun in ruining the surprise? Wendy was sad. Meanie. Naruto laughed and rolled his eyes. Let's talk about something happier now, he said, and his smirk turned sneaky. How are things between you and your boyfriend or girlfriend? Wendy's face turned bright red. She whined, Tou-san. As Naruto laughed. The father and daughter were doing well. Clone 2 of Wendy. Romeo told Wendy, you dance so well, you're amazing. Wendy giggled. Why, thank you, Romeo. You're not so bad yourself, she said. Romeo laughed in an awkward way. I wouldn't be so sure. My dad didn't teach me much, and I'm pretty sure I've stepped on you more than once. Wendy said, oh, come on. You're not doing that bad. I'm having fun dancing with you. If we're talking about our dance, Wendy, where did you learn to dance? Asked Romeo. Wendy smiled very big. This is why my dad taught me. Romeo seemed a little shocked. You know, I kind of expected that answer, but it still comes as a surprise. Yeah, I know, but my dad was full of surprises on our training trip. He wanted to spend some quality time with me as a daughter, so he thought he'd teach me how to dance, Wendy said with a smile. At first, I was really nervous because I've never been much a dancer and would only do it for a mission. But my dad said he used to be like that until my mom and Andy got their hands on him, Wendy laughed. After that, he made me try it. It took a few lessons, but I was able to pick up a few things. Romeo started to sweat. I will never get used to the fact that Acnologia is your father and that he taught you how to dance. Wendy said in a happy voice, I'm pretty sure nothing about our current situation is normal. They didn't talk much because Romeo seemed to be thinking about something else. Even though Wendy could tell by the frown on his face that he was deep in thought. A diamond for your mind? He closed his eyes and shook his head. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you. Wendy gave a head shake. Don't worry about it. I know you weren't serious. What were you thinking? Romeo got red in the face as he tried to speak. Well, you know, I was just wondering if you could. Wendy turned her head to the side and said, if I could. Romeo shut his eyes and said, if you teach me how to dance. Wendy gave Romeo a smile. That's why you were so upset. The color of Romeo's blush got darker. No, it wasn't just that, he said after a thick swallow. I was wondering if we could do it somewhere private after we hung out for a while, got something to eat, or walked around the city. Wendy's eyebrows went up and her cheeks got a little red. Dark was telling her to jump at the same time. Romeo, are you asking me to go out on a date? Romeo's face was all red. Why yes. Wendy was happy. Sure. Romeo blinked a few times, and then his eyes got bigger. Wait, what? Wendy giggled. Of course, silly, but there's one catch. Romeo nodded rapidly. Sure. Anything. Wendy was happy. You also have to take Sharia out on a date and go out with the two of us. Romeo had to blink a few times before his redness returned in full force. Eh? Source. Wendy. Sharia cheered, Wendy-chan, you are amazing. You really know what love is. Wendy blushed and laughed. Many thanks, Sharia-chan. I'm having so much fun, Wendy. I feel like I've found someone I can really connect with. And just about our magic. Then Sharia got a bright red blush. She whispered, and maybe not as just as Nakama. Unluckily for her, Wendy heard her as the Sky Dragon Slayer got a little red in the face. When Dark told her what her clone did with Romeo, that blush turned bright red. Wendy shook her head to get rid of the redness in her face, but Sharia saw it. Oh? The one who killed Sky Gods teased. What's that blush all about? Wendy sputtered. My father is embarrassing me, and let's just say that my clone made a move on Romeo. Her face went down. You like him, don't you? Wendy nodded. Sharia was in a lot of trouble. She thought she'd found love at last. Someone she could get along with better than Leon or her cousin. But Wendy noticed that she was different. When they met for the first time, she had a new feeling. There's something fun. It could have been their magic, or it could have been something else. But even if they couldn't make that connection, they would still be friends, and if that was all this love was, she just wanted to keep this connection with Wendy. Wendy seemed to notice that Sharia wasn't herself, so she decided to help her get back to normal. There is one thing that needs to happen. Before she looked at Wendy, Sharia blinked. She asked sharply, "What's that?" Wendy smiled as she leaned in close to Sharia and whispered in her ear. This made Sharia blush a little. The Sky God Slayer stopped moving when Wendy leaned back to let Sharia make sure she understood what she said. Sharia needed a few minutes to think about what she had just been told. When she finally understood what had just been said, her whole body turned bright red. I, you. Romeo. Me, you. Us. Sharia couldn't even think of a complete sentence, which Wendy thought was kind of cute. Wendy asked, "So what do you say?" Sharia shook her head and took a few deep breaths. Then, with a big smile on her face, she looked up at Wendy. Okay. Naruto Clone 1. Ow. Naruto asked Kagura, "Are you okay?" As she fell on her turn. I told you, Kagura whimpered. I'm terrible at putting on dresses and shoes like these. The only thing I'm good at is fighting and using a sword. Naruto chuckled. When they danced for the first time, Saikimi said something like this to him. Strange things happen in life. Oh, come on, you're not that bad. I'm surprised Anna and Irene didn't teach you a thing or two, though. They did, but that doesn't mean I'm remembering anything right now. It's not embarrassing to be ashamed of what we can or can't do. Kagura gave him a skeptical look. Have you ever been in a situation like this? I'll be honest, I was terrified that I would embarrass myself if I ever danced with one of my lovers. Anna and Irene found my fear very funny and made me learn from them. Kagura joked, they can't take no for an answer when it involves you. Naruto gave a head shake. The blonde dragon then saw that Kagura was keeping up with the beat of the dance and said, no, they can't. Hey, look, you're not going crazy. When Kagura looked down at herself, she blinked and saw that he was right. She could keep up with him and match his rhythm in the rhythm of the music. Naruto told him, take some of your stress away, and you can do it. Kagura's lip was a little red as she held her head down and hid her eyes with her bangs. She said, thank you, in a shy way. My pleasure, my dear sword princess. Kagura's face was bright red, and her eyes were wide. Naruto raised an eyebrow in a funny way. What? Is it too soon? She shook her head. No, I like it, but don't say it out loud because it would be embarrassing. Naruto hummed while stroking Kagura's cheek, which made steam come out of her head. I don't know. I think I like you like this. You look too cute with that blush on, and I don't know why. She stutteringly said, be baka. Overall, it was a good start to a relationship between the two people. Naruto Clone 2. I see you are a graceful dancer. Sayla said in a very happy voice, thank you, Naruto-sama. I learned from many books and practiced on my own. Anna-sama and Irene-sama also helped a lot. Naruto gave her a grin that was a little annoyed. I thought I told you not to give me that ending, he said. Sayla refused and shook her head. But I think it's right to give it to you. The answer makes Naruto sweat. Oh, no. I also have a second Kazuhana. Or would Anna and Irene say Tsukiyumi? I have to say that your dancing makes me think of my dear Hinata a lot. Sayla looked up in surprise. Really? Yes, Naruto said. Yes, she was as graceful as the moon and moved like water. Sayla was quiet for a few seconds before she broke into a big smile. Thank you for such a nice thing to say about Hinata. I know how much you value her. Thanks for what you said, but I'm just telling the truth. Naruto sighed, knowing he couldn't change her mind. I still want to thank you, he said. Do as you want. Naruto Clone 3. Mira Jane hummed in delight. I had no idea that the Black Dragon could dance so well. I told my sweet Wendy that in the 400 years I've been alive, I've found other things to do besides destroying everything in sight, said the dragon. Mira's eyebrow went up in surprise. Is dancing part of this? Naruto smiled and shook his head. No, not really. My wives and my strict mother taught me how to dance, he said with a nostalgic tone. Mira asked, were these sessions optional or were they required? To be honest, it was a little bit of both. Saphira said I needed to be a well-educated man if I was going to court Anna and Irene. She said she won't let her beloved son embarrass himself and his future wives. Anna and Irene wanted to share those moments with me because they thought it was funny. The other girls followed suit after that. Mira giggled. Era. Who knew that Acnologia liked being in charge? Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. That's pretty funny, they laughed as they kept dancing. The blonde king then decided to ask his current partner a question that had been on his mind for a while. Mira-Jane. Yes? Can I ask you a question? Mira nodded. Of course. Why did you look so worried about me after the invasion? Besides my daughters, you've been the guild member who has tried the most to get close to me. Why? Mira was surprised when Naruto asked her this question. But maybe it has something to do with how alone he is. He's been alone for a long time, so for someone who doesn't know anything about history to be so nice to him and keep doing so even after the news came out must be very strange. Mira started by giving him a warm smile and saying, because Naruto. It's what you should do. When he looked confused, she told him more. I won't say much right now, but I kind of get what you've been through. I know what it's like to be hated for something you couldn't help, to be seen as nothing but a monster. I could understand your situation, and I could see why you ended up the way you did. But despite everything, you still try to be there for your daughters, and you went through hell to save all of us and protect us from the dragons. Mira looked down at this point. You are a person who has been without love and acceptance for most of his life, and you lost it for a while because of mistakes you made. But the fact that you chose to change, that you chose to reconnect with those who were close to you. You did not falter. You did not let your fears and insecurities control you. Like I did. Naruto looked sad. Mira nodded. Are you talking about what happened to Lisanna? I stopped fighting on the front lines and became a waitress for the guild. I became a rock for the guild. I will never regret that, but it cost me my fighting spirit. If I had kept it, I could have saved my nakama a lot of pain, but it took my brother almost dying for me to start fighting again. I should have. Mira, said Naruto in a calm voice. Mira stopped when she looked up and saw Naruto's soft, kind eyes. Mira, you shouldn't have to be forced to fight. No one should be forced to fight or do anything they don't want to do. It doesn't make you weak that you don't want to fight. Fear is something we all feel, including me. You faced your fear and became stronger because of it. It made you who you are now. Mira looked up at Naruto. No one had ever said anything like this to her before. Her guild never said anything to her about leaving the front lines. They were always so kind and understanding to her. Even when Laxus was full of himself, he didn't bother her about it. But this was the first time someone had called her stronger for coming back since maybe Makarov. She gave the blonde a smile that lit up the room. Now you sound like Master Makarov. I never thought the Dragon King would say something like that. Naruto smirked. You have to understand that I didn't always like fighting. All I cared about was protecting my nakama. I joined the civil war to protect my friends, but at first I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to live in peace with my family. But during one raid, we almost all died. I could have stopped it if I was stronger, so I kept on fighting until it was one of the only things I knew how to do. How do Wendy and the other girls feel about this? All of my girls want to fight and get stronger so they can protect their nakama. Wendy was different. She didn't like fighting. She just wanted to be helpful and protect her nakama. I told her I wanted to train her, but it was her choice to accept it. She chose to accept my offer because she wanted to learn how to fight. But I would never force her to fight, because no one should be forced to do something they don't want to do. Mira just couldn't help but smile at Naruto. You really are a good father. It's almost enough to make a girl fall in love with you. Naruto cocked his head. Are you telling me here that you like me? Well, I'll say yes, but before I commit to a man, I'd like to get to know him first. Is that okay with you? Naruto smiled as he danced a slow dance with her. Okay, let's just enjoy this for now, Mira said with a smile. I do agree. Naruto Clone 4. You have a lot of questions, Naruto said. Eclair nodded. Yes, I do have a lot, but I don't know where to begin. As I've told my daughter before, the beginning is a good place to start. Eclair gave him a dirty look, and the smirk he gave her didn't help. I don't have a lot of memories of my past. All I have are bits and pieces, but they don't make sense. But I know one thing for sure. When I saw you, I felt like my mind was on fire, and then I saw images, but I couldn't make sense of them. But I knew one thing, you may be the key to my memories. So I have to ask, do you know who I am? Naruto kept looking at her as he tried to figure out what to do. He wanted to bring her in slowly and satisfy her curiosity for now. He wanted to save the more important details for a more private place. I want to get you interested, so I have to ask, do you know how much power you had during the invasion? Eclair thought about how she used those beautiful flames to make the shape of a bird. She also remembered what the dragon called them that she fought. The phoenix's strength. Naruto nodded. Yes, you were a phoenix priestess. You were part of an ancient tribe that worshipped the legendary bird. Because of their loyalty, it is said that a phoenix blessed the members so that all members and their descendants would have its powers. They have been around for a very long time, even longer than I have. Eclair didn't say anything while she thought about what was said. Phoenix priestess. The name stuck with her, and something inside her stirred in recognition and excitement? She didn't know. But something in her mind also seems to click. Now it all makes sense. Eclair gasped. Why I didn't change over the years, even though everything else did. Naruto gave her a soft squeeze, which made her look up at him. A look that was both comforting and revealing. He asked softly, you've been alive for a very long time, haven't you? Eclair slowly nodded while biting her lip. I've been so lonely for so long that I thought closing my heart would help ease the pain, but all it did was make me feel even more empty inside. Until you met Mammon and Katya? Naruto asked. Eclair smiled along with her. Momon was the first friend I made in a long time. He kept me safe and protected something important to me. A little while later, we met Katya. She wanted to go out and see the world, and she knew more about it than I did at the time. Since then, we've been inseparable. I owe those two a lot. Naruto nodded. I know what that's like. The emptiness and loneliness can be too much and drive most people crazy. Eclair gave him a frowning look. She continued, and once you've been into that abyss, you never really get out. A part of it always stays with you. Naruto nodded. But as long as we follow our light, we can get through anything in the dark, said Eclair as she thought about her friends and, now that she had Fairy Tail, her extended family. Family. She hadn't thought about having one in a long time, but now that she knows she does, she feels so happy. It made me feel so good. She took another look at her partner. Is there something else you want to tell me? Do you know anything about my past or my birth parents and family? Eclair asked Naruto, whose eyes seemed to go blank and shiny. This worried Eclair for a moment, but Naruto answered after a moment of silence. There's a lot to talk about, but let's put this conversation on hold for now. This is something we should talk about in private. Eclair looked sad. She knew Naruto was hiding something, but he did answer some of her questions and agreed to talk to her again. This was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. Plus, he was right. It might have been better to enjoy the party and save the serious talk for later. Naruto Clone 5. Naruto hummed a happy tune while his dance partner tried to burn holes in his head. How long are you going to keep staring at me? Naruto makes a joke. Grandini replied as she kept her death glare up, until you melt away. Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. Why are you being so mean? I haven't done anything to deserve your anger. Since I've been back, all you've done is tease and embarrass me. Hissed the Sky Queen. Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. Oh, come on. You've been teased worse than this. Also, you should know that when Anna and Irene saw someone interested in me, they immediately started to tease that person and me. This is nothing new. The only reason I didn't do it earlier when we met in your mindscape was because I wasn't really thinking about it and it was the first time we'd seen each other in years or centuries in my case, he said. The blonde then smiled at her in a sneaky way. Also, if I remember right, you were the one who kissed me. Grandini was so angry and embarrassed that he turned bright red. I hate you a lot. Naruto smirked. Same here, Gran. The two kept staring at each other with a mix of amusement and anger until Naruto let out a sigh and gave Grandini a more calm look. All jokes aside, I'm glad to have you back, Grandma, and I'm glad to have you all back. Grandini sighed and put her head on Naruto's shoulder as she did so. Naruto, I feel the same way. Soon, so will the rest of them, Naruto said with a firm voice. Grandini was suspicious of Naruto and looked at him. What do you have to hide? Naruto smiled at her. It's a surprise, but I promise it won't be bad. Have you forgotten to tell us anything bad? Naruto's head moved as he thought. I've been thinking about a possible theory for a long time, but I'll save it for another time. Have fun. Grandini was suspicious of Naruto, but she decided to drop the subject for now. Better to have a quiet night. They can then turn their attention to their opponents. Naruto Clone 6. Irene said, when she saw another copy of the Sky Queen with the Sky Queen. I see, Grandini, and you and I are getting along very well. She was always a marshmallow underneath all that toughness. One could argue that Kagura is the same, Naruto said. No, she's more of a minor Tsunere, but Kagura, Sayla, and Grandini are all sweet girls who would be good for you. I really do appreciate the help, but please let me do it at my own speed. Irene gave her husband a soft smile. I know. You may be flirting and teasing, but I know it's just to help them feel more comfortable. Naruto said in a funny way, I never thought I'd be in a situation like this again. Irene teased, on the plus side, you're actually aware of your growing harem. Naruto gave her eyes a roll. Oh, come on, I didn't have much to offer back then, so how was I supposed to know that so many women would like me? Irene smiled very coyly and said, your bed skills beg to differ. Naruto gave his wife a deadpan look. I didn't know what everyone liked about me, despite my sex skills and my reputation as a warrior. I just didn't get it. The Dragon Queen smiled at her husband in a kind and honest way. Your undying loyalty, your desire to protect those close to you, and the fact that your big heart can love so many people. We've all seen how loving you can be as a father and a husband. Naruto gave his wife a soft smile. Thank you very much. Irene put her head on his shoulder and fell asleep. And you don't have to say, thank you, all the time. But I'm still grateful for what everyone has done for me and for this second chance. Irene nodded. She turned to see Urza dancing with Jelal and said, yes, second chances. She's changed so much since we left. Naruto nodded. Yes, she has, but she is and will always be our daughter. If she ever needs help, we'll be there for her. I just hope she doesn't make us grandparents too soon or too late. Compared to how old we are, that seems normal. Irene cocked her head. Are you calling Anna and me old? Other than the people I am with now, there's no one else I would want to grow old with. Irene giggled. Flatterer, she said, and then she kissed him on the lips and put her head back on his shoulder. Thank you for coming back to see us, Naruto. Naruto smiled as he tightened his grip on Irene. Irene always. Original Naruto. Anna hummed as she danced with her husband for the first time in a long time. When was the last time we danced like this? I think the last time was at the ball we went to before the Dragon Civil War started. Anna hummed to show that she understood. Oh, that's right. It was strange to have a ball before the war. More than likely, it was to calm down before the war. That seems like so long ago, Anna said in a soft voice. I know exactly how you feel, but our little family has grown so much in that long time. Anna gives Naruto a tight hug by putting her arms around both of his sides. Yes, it has, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but I didn't expect Wendy to get a mini harem, and I'm not sure how I feel about you influencing her in that way. He laughed as he looked at Anna and Naruto rolled her eyes. I didn't do anything to make her do what I wanted her to do. She did it on her own. Anna was interested to know, is that a Hinata trait? Naruto gave a shrug. Maybe, said Anna. But I think it's something she got from all three of her mothers. Anna just rolled her eyes at that. Hinata is her birth mother. You, as her surrogate, carried her for 9 months. Grandini raised her while we were busy with the war. All three of you gave her something important. Like I told her before, I wouldn't trust any other woman to raise her or be her mother. Anna smiled at him in a real way. Thank you. No matter what she decides, we will always be there for her and the rest our children, Naruto said. Anna nodded as the two held on to each other tighter. Yes, we all will, she said. After a few hours. Since the ballroom dancing ended a few hours ago, almost everyone has gone to sleep. Naruto danced with his wives, then moved on to dance with his other daughters and one granddaughter. Some of the girls found it a little embarrassing, but they were able to enjoy their dance with their father or grandfather, in Meridi's case. Naruto and Hisui and Yukino even danced together. Both of them were embarrassed, especially when they thought about what Wendy had said, but Naruto helped them calm down so they could enjoy their dance. Naruto, Anna, Irene, Wendy, Urza, Katya, Lucy, Ultir, and Meridi are now outside because they have been inside for so long. Lucy, Urza, Ultir, and Meridi were a little tipsy from the alcohol they drank, but Urza wasn't able to drink too much, which was a good thing. Wendy and Katya couldn't drink anything, and Naruto and his wives didn't feel much. It's not that they couldn't drink. They can still get a little buzz, but they usually have to add something to their drinks to do that. The blonde king was cuddling with his two wives under a tree while the girls smiled and watched from a distance. Anna stood up because she needed some air. Naruto had an idea as he watched his wife under the moonlight. It would be a great way to end the fun-filled night. He starts to whistle a soft tune that Irene recognizes right away. The redhead smiled and said, "Oh, I love this one." The blonde smiled when he saw how happy his red queen was. Naruto walked up behind Anna and put his hands on her shoulders. He kept whistling as he said, "Remember our song, Anna?" in a soft voice. No one spoke as he went on, but this time his voice was soft and kind, unlike anything they had heard from the King of Dragons. "I'll swim and sail on savage seas, with never a fear of drowning. And gladly ride the waves of life, if you will marry me," he sang softly as he put his fingertips on her cheek and gently rubbed them together. Naruto smiles, then turns to his second wife and continues. "If you will promise me your heart," he sings as he gently takes her hand in his. The others watch in silence as he waits for her to start singing, since her part came right after his. "And love," he softly tells her. But when Anna stays quiet, Naruto makes a sad face. After all, she had forgotten their wedding song and dance. He can't say he blames her, though. Years went by before he could even remember the words. So he didn't have the right to judge, but the fact that she forgot their song hurt his heart. The one that the three of them made to show how close they were. But as he turns away, Anna's voice softly starts to sing, "And love me for eternity." Her voice made him jump up in excitement and joy, something the group, except maybe Wendy, hadn't seen before. "My dearest one, my darling dear, your mighty words amaze me. But I don't need mighty deeds when I feel your arms around me," she says as she raises her arm and he does the same. The group watched as they put their forearms. Naruto's voice was full of joy and laughter as he kicked his legs in time with Anna and Irene. "But I would bring you gold rings and even sing you poetry," he said. Anna and Irene laughed and said, "Oh, would you?" She asked with pleasure. "Stay here with me, and I'll protect you from all harm," he sang with excitement. Anna had put her back against Naruto's chest and held her hands across her chest. She held her husband's left hand, and Irene held Naruto's right hand as they seemed to bounce from side to side. "I have no use for gold rings. I don't care about your poetry. I only want your hand to hold," Anna sang as Naruto started to spin around with her in his arms. Now, Naruto's smile of happiness was very clear as he sang, "I only want you near me," with great pride. But then they started to sing together at a much faster pace, which surprised the rest of the group. "To love, to kiss, to sweetly hold." They called out happily as Urza started dancing and shouting, "Hey!" For the dancing and the dreaming, they sang as Urza grabbed Wendy's and Katya's hands and Ultir grabbed Meridi's and they started to dance with a laugh, "Come on, Wendy-chan." While this is going on, Naruto, Irene, and Anna keep singing. They don't care about the interruptions because they are so happy. "I'll keep your love inside me through all the joys and sorrows of life." They call out together as Urza starts to sing with them, but she keeps dancing with Wendy in her arms. "I'll swim and sail on rough seas without fear of drowning, and gladly ride the waves of life if you'll marry me." Naruto, Irene, and Anna finish as Naruto lifts his wives into the air and spins them around happily. Calming down, Naruto puts his wife down with a smile on his face and a satisfied look in his eyes. "I thought I'd have to die before we could do that dance again, or at least what I thought was the closest thing to death," he said softly. Anna and Irene laughed. "Oh, Naruto, there's no need to take such extreme steps," she told him with a smile. Naruto smiled and said softly, "For you, my dears, anything." He took their hands in his again and asked, "Can I come home, Anna? Irene?" The two women gave him a kiss on the lips while smiling sincerely. "Silly Naruto, you don't have to ask a stupid question. You were already home, because you were with us. You were always welcome to come back whenever you wanted." Naruto smiled as he gave his two wives a tight hug, which they both gave back. He said, "Thank you," in a whisper. "You're welcome," they all said at the same time. Then they looked up and saw that their daughters and granddaughter were watching with big smiles. "And our home has gotten bigger." He turned around and saw that his daughters were watching them. With his head, he gave them a slope. The girls didn't know what to do, but Anna and Irene told them it was fine by nodding. The girls ran up to join in the group hug. They were once again a happy, whole family. After a few days, Doranbolt grumbled as he walked near the edge of the capital city. "Man, this is a mess. I wish things were simple again. Since when has this ever been easy?" asked a voice that was familiar. Doranbolt turned around and saw Ultir, Merity, Jelal, and the rest of the Oracion Cease who had been set free coming toward him. The memory mage looked bored at them. "Oh, it's you," Merity said when Doranbolt was being rude to them. "Don't act like you don't want to see us. You did ask us to come." Doranbolt nodded as he looked around and said, "Yeah." He asked nervously, "Are you sure Naruto is not here?" Everyone shook their heads and laughed at Doranbolt's fear when they thought Naruto was close by. Merity said, "Don't worry, I think he's busy with his wives and making sure he doesn't disappear again." Ultir said in a funny way, "I don't think Dad is dumb enough to try." Jelal teased, "Ultir, you already love your dad." The time mage gave the blue-haired mage a glare in return. "Don't test me," she told Jelal, who raised his arms in defeat. Merity giggled. "Grandpa can get people to do what he wants," Ultir's daughter said. Her daughter and the others quietly laughed, amused. Jelal tried to get the conversation back on track by asking, "Anyway, what news do you bring?" "Just to let you know, the job is done. Lahar and the rest of the council have had their memories changed. They now think that the members of Oracion Cease were offered a deal. If they became a guild under the council, they would get their freedom and be forgiven for all of their crimes. They even think that they let the Oracion Cease join with Crime Sorcière. At this point, Crime Sorcière is an official guild and a division of the council." All of the mages laughed at Naruto's sneaky plan to get them freed and cleared of their crimes. Naruto was a very clever person for someone who had spent most of his life alone. "We also got Ultir and Jelal back as wizard saints, which is good because we could never find anyone to take their place. The king asked us to think about one more person. That must have taken a lot of work," said Sorana. Doranbolt was so mad that he shook his head. Naruto was a godsend for this plan to work. I really don't know what he can't do. Probably just minding his own business. Since this was about his daughter, whether she was his blood or not, you can bet he would get involved, Cobra said, and Ultir gave him a look. Doranbolt looked at the person who killed poison dragons. "So, Cobra, I know you guys are going to go out and gather information again, but I need to ask you something. You have the best hearing here. Do you know anything interesting?" The Cobra laughed. "The underworld's hell gates are about to open." Before it hit him, Doranbolt looked confused. Cobra nodded. "Hell? You mean Tartarus?" Ultir said out loud, "The last of the Balam alliance. It makes sense that they will eventually move." "Cobra, do you have anything else to say?" Jelal asked. "The books of Zeref tell me that everyone in Tartarus is a demon." As they think about what their enemy might be able to do, the tension in the air grows. Doranbolt took both hands and moved them down his face. "A full-scale war is really coming," he said in a scared voice. "And we will be ready when it comes," Merity said with confidence. Ultir and Jelal gave each other a nod as they looked around at all of their allies. "Yes, we will," they said at the same time. After a few days, in the center of Magnolia City. "Everyone, they're back. Welcome home to everyone. Let's give a round of applause to the GMG winners, everyone. Welcome. Fairy Tail's grand return. We're back, everyone," exclaimed Natsu. Happy cheered, "I." Katya was amazed and said, "There are so many people." "I think there are a lot of people from outside of Magnolia," Momon said. Makarov yelled, "Yay. We won." As Asuka jumped on his shoulders and cheered loudly. Mira-chan. Look over there. Hi, hi, Mira said as she waved to her many fans. Lisana was amazed. Man, what a welcome. We did end up winning the games, and we fought an army of dragons. Evergreen, to Elfman's left, agreed, that, too. Lily said, wow, this is so cool. Gajeel said, hey. We're the best. Kana shouted, let's all drink to celebrate. Don't drink too much, Kana, Laxus told her. That fight was so awesome, Wendy. Wendy, your first round was amazing. You played like a ninja. Wendy smiled and waved at her new fans as she laughed. Thank you to everyone for your support. You're right. Fall down before us. Dark yelled, and Wendy rolled her eyes in her head. Good job, Lucy. Thank you, landlady, and thank you, fisherman. You still need to pay the rent. Sigh. Naruto gave her shoulder a pat. Just holler if you ever need help. Lucy gave a grateful nod. Thanks, but I think I can handle it. As you wish, was his answer. Urza. You were amazing at Pandemonium. The fight with Kagura was amazing. You look exactly like your mother. Your dad is also great. Urza held her arms by the sides. This is all just too embarrassing. Levi made a joke, everyone is watching you. Hail to the king who kills dragons. Hail to the king. Naruto gave a groan. I'm not Tomo, so don't yell that at me. Natsu started to look through the big bag he had brought with him. I have something to show you all, he said. Tada. He was holding the king's crown. Several members of Fairy Tail exclaimed, the king's crown? How did you get that? Natsu put the crown in his bag quickly. Whoops, you shouldn't have seen that. Wendy said in a deadpan voice, Natsu, if you get arrested, we won't help you. Natsu held a big award high over his head. The king's cup is proof that we won. I still can't believe it, Droy said with tears in his eyes. After always coming in last for so many years. Jet went on. Warren said, this still feels like a dream. Kiana and Lackey both cheered, hooray. Lift it higher, Romeo. Natsu told the young fire mage as he put him on his shoulders. Hi. As mayor of Magnolia, I'd like to give you all something to remember me by. Makarov sheepishly scratched the back of his head. You shouldn't have won that award. Come this way, and you'll see that the Fairy Tail Guildhall has been completely fixed up. It's the pride of our town. No one on Fairy Tail could say anything. Makarov was almost in tears. Really, Mayor, you are. He or she laughed. Oh, it wasn't just me, he said, and then he looked at the big group of people around them. The people of this town helped fix things up, and a certain Slayer King gave a lot of money. Everyone turned to look at Naruto. The blonde gave a shrug. What? I said I'd pay back my debts. I thought this could be the start of it, not counting what happened in the capital. I also paid off your debts and those of all the members, and I left a good deposit for everyone. Don't go crazy. Makarov couldn't take it any longer, so he screamed as loud as he could. Everyone here is the best. Everyone cheered at the same time when Fairy Tail returned to their home in the glory they had 7 years ago. Naruto looked at something he could feel. He felt a pull, and when he looked down, Wendy was looking at him with a puzzled expression. She asked, something wrong? Naruto gave a headshake. He quickly disappeared in a black blur after saying, it's nothing important, I just need to get some air. Wendy tilted her head and shook it when she didn't understand. Just for a little while, her father wanted to get away from the big crowd. Plus, he would tell them if something was bothering him. Wendy and the other kids didn't know it, but a familiar black creature was watching from afar. The black imp cackled, kiki ha hee hee ha hee 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 hee, and then jumped away. Deep in the Magnolia forest. Mavis floated above Magnolia's forests as she looked for the person she could feel. Someone she hadn't thought about in a while. Soon, she found the person she was looking for in a clearing surrounded by a black ring where the grass was dry and dead. Oh, I see, you were watching the GMG. Zeref. I can't see or hear you, my dear Mavis, but I can feel your presence. You were close to me 7 years ago. I was nearby you 7 years ago. Have you decided where you would like to die? Zeref looked up into the sky and said, I have chosen the place where I will die. For 400 years, I have seen the start and end of many eras. They always go the same way. Prosperity, then envy, then anger, then hatred, then suffering, then war, then death, and then anger again as the cycle starts over. Zeref frowned as he looked down. The black mage said in a dark tone, humanity will always keep making the same mistakes. Mavis said, there are people who still make those mistakes and try to make this world. Zeref turned to where he thought Mavis was standing and laughed in a dark way. Oh, come on, those idealists are some of the worst. They lie to themselves and to the people around them. They say nice things to impress the crowd, but not even they believe them. When they break, everything falls apart around them, and Naruto is a great example of that. Mavis looked sad. So you won't wait any longer? Zeref nodded. Yes, I have made up my mind. If the world, no, this universe, maybe even this reality itself rejects me, then I will reject everything about it and everyone who lives in it. Mavis replied, fairy tale and, to some extent, fishy knee accept this world as it is and the flaws that come with it. This is not my gift to anyone. When the old world is destroyed, a new world will be born, free of humanity's hypocrisy. Mavis looked sad at the man she used to love. I assume that there will be war? Zeref gave her a cold look as the forest around him died. His eyes were glowing a dull red. No, not exactly. This will be a one-sided annihilation, and I won't spare a single living thing. Mavis gave him a look that was just as mean. I swear that I, Fairy Tail, and Naruto will stop you. You will be destroyed. Alright, are you two done declaring war? A voice asked. The two were shocked when a familiar Dragon King walked up to them and broke up their one-sided stare-down. Mavis asked with some doubt, fishy knee? Zeref smiled at the blonde king with a feeling of longing. Hello, Naruto. It's been a while. Naruto nodded. Yes, it has been a long time, old friend. You're not going to try to kill me, are you? Have you stopped being mad at me? Zeref made a joke. Naruto felt a vein pop in his head. Zeref, I was mad at you for resurrecting your brother as a demon. Naruto glared at the black mage and said, I was angry that you made it so that if he kills you, he goes with you. Naruto's whisker marks got darker and more defined, and his eyes turned a deep blue. I was mad at you when you turned me into a monster and didn't stop me when I killed all those people. I was furious when I heard that you stole my sister's heart. Naruto's growl was inhuman at this point, and his eyes were glowing white. He sighed to calm himself down, and then he glared at the mage again. It would be a huge understatement to say that I'm mad at you. It wouldn't make sense to try to kill you right now, and this isn't the time or place for it. Zeref laughed and said, no matter what you think, Naruto. I'm glad to see you acting again like this. I'd rather have you than your rather shy self. I saw how you fought Ghidorah. I haven't been amused in a long time, I must say. I'm sure people who watched your fight will be interested in Fury again. And they are. Naruto frowned. He asked, but Zeref just shrugged. Now why would I ruin it for you? Naruto sighed and decided to ask if he could get an answer to one question. The blonde finally said, then tell me one thing. What is it? Zeref asked. Who cursed you? Naruto glared at the immortal mage. Everyone who has heard the legend of Zeref would know the answer. Zeref looked amused and said, you should know about that. Onksarum. That's what you say, Naruto rolled his eyes. So say the books on history. But I've lived long enough to know what's really going on. That name doesn't belong to a god. That is a fake name that the person used to hide who they were. The thing gave the people of Mildian that fake name so they could worship him and hide his real name. Mavis was shocked by this news, because it basically changes parts of history that have been known for over 400 years. Naruto then said, I once asked the primordials why they didn't lift your curse, but they said they couldn't. That shouldn't be possible, since the dragon gods of the beginning are the most powerful thing in this world. If they failed, it would mean that you were cursed by another primordial. Or at least something just as strong if they can't match the power of my 4 great primordials. Zeref laughed and gave Naruto a slow clap. So you figured that out, he said with a smile. Well, Naruto, I have to give you praise. You are the first person to understand. Then you must be wondering who did this, the black mage said with no sense of humor. I'll tell you something. It's someone you become close to out of the blue. He used to be in your pantheon, but for his sins he was kicked out and seemed to die. But his spirit kept on living. He's been here the whole time, getting more and more powerful. His coming back to life is a given. Naruto frowned. Who was Zeref talking about? As far as he could remember, there had only been 3 banishments in his pantheon. One was Malefor, the father of the 4th Dragon King Spyro. The other was Sketman. But neither Malefor nor Sketman would be strong enough to curse Zeref like this, especially to keep the primordials from lifting the curse. Naruto stopped. He remembered what Zeref had said. They had a connection. How could they not? Naruto carries the will of one of his sons. One of a pair that fought and defeated their father after his sins against early dragonkind and humans could not be forgiven. His body was turned into dust and sent to the 4 corners of the universe. How could he still be alive? Mavis was shocked to see that her brother's face had turned a sickly white color and that he was shaking in fear. What kind of creature could make the black dragon of the apocalypse? It's not him. Naruto said vehemently, no, he can't be coming back. That would be worse than any of the worst-case scenarios he had thought of. Were things getting so out of hand without him in charge? Zeref gave Naruto a sympathetic look and said, I don't blame you for being scared. I was just as scared as she was. On the other hand, most living things have a natural instinct to be afraid of this being. Even gods are afraid of him. You can't let him give Zeref back to him. If he really comes back, everything will be over. I'm afraid I can't do much, Zeref said with a sad frown. He is, for lack of a better word, using my body as his messenger. I have no power over him or the curse he put on me, which has changed my mind, morals, and sanity. He is totally in charge of me. He lets me say what's on my mind and move around on my own, but no god can kill me or find me. He doesn't see you as a weakling, though, Zeref said with a tired smile. He thinks you are funny. He wants us to keep playing this game for a while longer. He wants you to get better and stronger. Much stronger. We will face each other when you are in charge. Zeref then turned away to leave. With that, Naruto, I must go, he said. Train my brother and the other people well. In the future, they will need you. Just one more warning. The other son of my master will soon get up, too. And he will chase you down. The one who knows what the younger brother wants. With that, the black mage went through a black portal and was gone. Naruto groaned loudly as he facepalmed and dragged his hands down his face. This is even worse than I thought. Fishy knee, what was that about? Mavis asked, looking worried because she had never seen Naruto nervous about facing someone. Naruto looked at his sister and sighed deeply. Not now, Mavis. I promise I'll talk to you and the others about this later, but now is not the time. So let's keep this conversation quiet, he said. Mavis frowned. She really wanted to know what they were talking about, but she knew that everyone had the right to keep their own secrets and that this would eventually come out. She finally gave in and said, okay, let's go back. Though she really hoped he would tell her the truth about Ever before things got too crazy. Not sure where. As a creature looked around, its eye briefly opened for a moment. His eyes were filled with a bright orange glow. His whole body was covered in an unbearable heat. He felt like he was deep underground, but the heat didn't hurt him much. He felt a power pulse. There had been a fight between 2 people. Just bugs to him. He didn't pay much attention to these kinds of fights, even if they were between dragons. But one of the people fighting caught his attention. More specifically, the power he was giving off. There were signs of his power in it. The power of his little brother, who was a traitor. If he had the same power as his brother, it would be one of his brother's gifts to him. The so-called kings of the dragons. A king who is not a king at all. None of the kings who came after his brother were as strong, fierce, or regal as him. They were dishonest. In the name of the Dragon King, these people are total jokes. This one was just like the last one. Calling himself the dragon of the end of the world? Ha! That baby bird had no idea about the real end of the world. Even worse was the fact that this dragon used to be a person. Those weak, squishy bugs were only good for eating and practicing with a gun. It was so annoying that a weak former human tried to take his brother's title. No matter what, the time for him to wake up was getting close. Soon, he will rise up and take this planet from his brother's legacy and make it his own. He will bring about a new time. When he has enough power, he will kill the primordials and take their power before he goes to the place where all power comes from. The power behind everything in this universe. Where all magic comes from. As the dark mass fell back into the molten river and the creature's eyes started to close again, he had one last thought. When I wake up, I will bring Armageddon to the land, and everything will fall apart, Natsu muttered as he slid across the Makai's ground. He quickly turned around to see that his fellow dragon killers had also been thrown back and hit the ground hard. As they got up to look at their opponent, they groaned in pain. Naruto laughed when he saw how his students were looking at him. He said in a mocking voice, "Come on, kids, you can do better than that." Flashback. Natsu and a few other people yelled, "What?" as they looked at Naruto in shock. Naruto rolled his eyes at the stupid people who were staring at him. "You've heard me." Gajeel was the one who spoke up first. "You want us to learn?" Naruto nodded. "You're right." Laxus's eyebrow went up. Why? Why was the offer appealing? What was Naruto trying to achieve? The other blonde just shrugged. "Because I don't have much to do right now. One thing I can do is get you all up to speed. During the invasion, you all should have been able to kill at least one dragon, but none of you did. Some of you were close, but that's not good enough. Close enough will just get you killed in the battles we'll have in the future." Sting asked, "So, what will you be teaching us?" As he answered, Naruto looked thoughtful. "For one thing, I'll work on Laxus and Cobra since there aren't any lightning or poison dragons available right now. The other slayers will have their dragons to finish their training, and I'll help you improve your powers. Urza will start learning the basic spells for her crystal slaying arts." He then looked at Lucy and the other mages who use the same magic as she does. "Anna will help the star mages work on their magic." Anna winked at her friends who were also stellar mages. All of the above mages felt a chill go down their spines for some reason. "Irene will have her own set, too," she said. The gathered mages had the same reaction when they saw Irene's playful but dangerous smile. Naruto shouted, "Ultir." The time mage jerks back in surprise and says, "Why yes." Naruto said, "You will work on your ice magic with Leon and Gray. Your time magic is impressive, but it doesn't do much, so we need to improve your other skills in case it fails." Ultir agreed with the idea and gave a nod. Her mother gave her ice magic, which was her second best magic skill. She would also have time to get to know her fake siblings. This sounds like it could be fun. On top of that, spending time with my new father, Ultir thought to himself. She still finds it very strange to think about all of this. Still, this was a fairy tale. They were pros at being strange. Naruto now looked at the ace of the fairies. "Guildarts, I will also be working with you. Jura and Kana will also be joining. I am putting you both through the ringer. I hope you can make our next fight fun," he said with a smile that made everyone shiver for different reasons. Nearly everyone thought, "Good luck, you two," and prayed for their safety. Kana put up her hand in surprise. "Hold on, why me?" Naruto told him, "Because you have the potential to use Guildart's magic, so it makes sense to work on that potential and build up your current magic arsenal. Mira, you and Sayla will work with me, and Gray and Natsu will sometimes join you too." The fire and ice mages asked at the same time, "Wait, why us?" The question was ignored by Naruto. "That will be explained later, and I'll tell you when to come back." His two queens and the dragons knew why he wanted Natsu to join, and Gray's situation was also clear to them. They thought Naruto could handle everything well. Anna asked, "What about us?" As he pointed at her, Irene, and the other dragons. "When you two aren't training your groups, you and the dragons will train separately in faraway places so that the other camps don't get destroyed. They all need to get used to their new bodies, and I want to help you two catch up to me." Naruto thought to himself, "Plus, it gives us time to work out any problems we still have with the other two." Even though he was glad his wives took him back, he knew damn well that didn't solve all their problems. These fights should clear things up between the three of them. Especially the problems that come up when their daughters are involved. "Camps?" asked Levi, who didn't understand. Naruto nodded. "We will spend 3 weeks camping in Makai." Again, everyone yelled, 3 weeks? Naruto was annoyed by all the screaming. Wait, isn't time moving faster in the Makai? If so, wouldn't that mean that 3 weeks would be 3 months in the Makai? Makarov asked. Correct, Naruto said to make sure. He then smiled in an evil way at everyone. And if you thought the training I gave Wendy was hard, you haven't seen anything yet, he said. Everyone took a step back and took a deep breath. We're all going to die. End of the memory. I knew it would be hard, but this is ridiculous, Gajeel grunted. Wendy replied, now you know how I felt while training with him. Urza barked, enough, everyone. Getting angry won't solve anything. Well, what can we do? He's been able to stop or get around everything we've tried, Sting replied. Urza looked at everyone as she turned back to her father. I have an idea. We need to find a way to leave him open for just long enough for all of us to hit him with everything we have. The group quickly and quietly gave different ideas and came up with a plan they could all agree on. When they turned around, Naruto was just standing there with a smile on his face. Oh, the wonderful joy of being naive as a child. I miss it so much. If you're all done making plans, can we move on? Natsu said as his fists went up in flames, you won't be smiling for long, you cocky, smug jerk. Naruto chuckled. Smug? Maybe. Arrogant? Definitely not. Pride has its place, but being arrogant will kill you. Now, since you're trying to hurt me, it's only fair that I do the same to you. Natsu asked, what the hell was that? I don't know, Wendy answered, 1. Okay voce dissi? Gajeel asked, 2. Cosa se che non va in te, idiota? Cobra said, 3. Pourquoi ne puis-je comprendre aucun d'entre vous? Urza demanded, 4. Hi-aha ka mea I hanane? Yelled Natsu in surprise, 5. Everyone yelled, what did you do? At Naruto, but he was too busy laughing his head off to hear them. Naruto finally said, ha. Ha. I'm sorry, after he had calmed down. It's always fun to see how people react to that spell. It never gets old. He laughed as he looked at his training dummies, victims. Sound. It's easy to explain why you guys can't understand each other but can still understand me. Cobra snarled in anger. Of course. That's exactly what you did. No one could understand what Cobra said, so they all looked at him. What? Naruto nodded. Yes, Cobra. To teach you all, sound travels through the air by making vibrations. What I did with my clap was skewer the sound waves when you speak. Once the sound waves leave your mouth, how they are skewered is different for each of you, so each of you will have a different hearing experience. He grinned at them. I'll make it easy for you. I used sound magic to mess up your hearing and speaking, so no one will be able to understand you when you talk. He made a clapping sound with his hands. Now, since I can't talk, how will you use your plan to stop me? Wendy's wind magic or Cobra's sound magic can't stop it right now. What will you do? Will you keep going? He asked with a sly grin. The Slayers looked at each other and then turned their determined eyes back to Naruto. The blonde king smirked. Good. I'd hate for it to end too soon. Rogue was the first to rush forward. He made a column of shadows to wrap around Naruto, but Naruto made his own shadows to grab Rogue's and tear them apart. When Naruto turns around, he sees Natsu throw a brilliant flame straight at him. He put out the fire quickly and got ready to let Natsu fly away. But he didn't find the fire mage. Instead, he saw his daughter Wendy staring at him defiantly with her bow and a special arrow. As she shot the arrow, she laughed at her dad's slight surprise. Naruto barely had time to turn his head before the arrow exploded as it went by his cheek. Arg. Naruto moaned in pain as his ears rang so loudly that he couldn't hear anything else. He tried to look for Wendy, but he couldn't see anything clearly. With just one simple step, everything started to spin. Arcs of sound. I might have gone too far with those trick arrows. Before Naruto could get his balance back, he felt something slimy under his feet. He looked around and saw that he was in the middle of a big purple puddle. Poison. He jumped into the air quickly, but Sting and Laxus were already there. They put their hands together, and a bright light shot out of their palms and into Naruto's eyes. The Dragon King grunted in pain as his eyes went black again. He then felt two of the Slayers coming toward him to attack. He grabbed the wrists of his two attackers and quickly knew that Urza and Gajeel were behind it because he could smell them. Naruto didn't have much time to react before he was hit hard in the face by someone else. Naruto grunted as he slipped backward and let go of Urza and Gajeel. Natsu and Rogue suddenly appeared behind him and tried to sneak up on him, but Naruto grabbed them quickly, smashed their heads together, and threw them back to the rest of the group. Naruto shook his head because he still couldn't see or hear like he used to. He had blurry eyesight, but it wasn't too bad. The ringing in his ears had stopped, leaving only a white silence that made everything sound muffled. But when he tried to find his students by smelling their scents, he ran into a new problem. He couldn't smell them, or anything for that matter. He wondered what made him change, and then he felt something strange in his mouth and spat out a purple blob onto the ground. Naruto had trouble seeing, but he could still see what was in his mouth and figure out what had happened. Poison. Cobra put poison in my mouth and nose, which made me lose my sense of smell and taste. The effect must have taken a while to happen, so I had to worry about my more immediate problems. He. It looks like they have done well in school. Wendy looked at her teammates as she pointed at Urza and Laxus, then at her father. Right away, the two of them got it. Right. The Fairy Queen in her black wing armor and the Lightning Dragon Slayer ran toward Naruto. Ryu no Hoken. Slash the Knight. As Naruto felt the attacks coming, he gave a smirk. So you made it hard for me to feel. But when everything else fails, dragons fall back on their last resort. Their gut feelings. Naruto stopped Urza's slash and Laxus's punch at the last second. Everyone yelled, "What?" in shock. How the hell could anyone still be able to fight when Naruto had taken away all their senses? But it looks like the killers forgot something important. Never underestimate Naruto. As the other slayers closed in on him, Naruto quickly threw the two back. Wendy made a hand signal that was clear to everyone. All the killers took a deep breath and let out a roar. Karyu no Hoko. Tetsuryu no Hoko. Tenryu no Hoko. Dokuryu no Hoko. Hakuryu no Hoko. Airyu no Hoko. Hikaru no Hoko. Urza's sword took on a red and white glow. She looked at Wendy, who quickly nodded at her sister. The redhead gave a nod to his brother or sister and then ran right over her father's head. Urza yelled, "Crimson Sky Slash!" as she brought her huge sword down on the head of her father. Boom. Naruto is surrounded by a huge explosion with many different colors, and everyone else is thrown across the ground by the force of the explosion. The group looks up because a cloud of dust has hidden where Naruto was. They couldn't feel Naruto, but they knew that those attacks wouldn't kill him. They quickly used all of their senses, whether they were damaged or not, to figure out where Naruto is. The group suddenly feels a surge of mana coming from the middle of the smoking crater. A familiar blonde said, not bad at all, but still not enough. Naruto showed up with cuts, scratches, and other wounds, but he was still standing. He gave Urza a hard punch to the gut, which knocked her down hard. He quickly gave Laxus a roundhouse kick, which knocked him down as well. He told them, dead. The other 6 slayers tried to help their friends, but Naruto quickly took out 5 of them. He told them, dead. Natsu tried to get in one last hit, but Naruto grabbed him by the hair and threw him to the ground. He then put his knee on Natsu's stomach and called up 2 ethereal blades, which he pointed at the fire slayer's neck and said, super dead. Natsu growled, but he knew it was over, so he stopped. As Naruto stood up and looked at his class, his victims, he nodded. Okay, class is over. For now, he said. Everyone on the ground sighed. Sting began, damn, that was intense. We're completely worn out, and you're barely hurt at all, Rogue said. That's pretty sad, Cobra said in the end. Naruto gave a head shake. You're wrong. You all did well. Even after a few weeks or months in the Makai, you've all improved well, he said, looking proudly at all of them. Before, none of you were very good at coordinating attacks. But here, even though I took away your ability to talk, you all managed to come up with a plan together. Don't be so hard on yourselves. You've all grown a lot in such a short time. Gajeel insisted, we still couldn't hurt you. Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. I'll admit that the plan was good, but this isn't the first time my senses have been hampered or taken away, and I've been trained to deal with that. You just had bad luck. But don't worry, I'll teach you all in due time. He showed them all respect by nodding. This was just one of many lessons, and you did pretty well. From here on out, you can only get better. So take a break, because as soon as we're all back to normal, we'll get back to work. All of the killers gave him a serious look. Hi. Group 2 of trainees. Gravity pressure by 100. It's a crush. Iron Rock, Titan's Fist. Card Magic. The Thunderbolt. Slash Buster. Naruto smiled and said, impressive power. With one swing of his arm, he cut the magic attacks into pieces with an ether blade. but still not enough. Even the force of gravity doesn't seem to be enough to make him move. Naruto felt a huge source of mana from below him all of a sudden. He quickly moved to the side when a huge energy geyser shot up from where he was. Irene teased him from a few feet away, "Don't forget, honey, I'm here." Naruto looked at her and smiled cheekily. "I don't think I forgot anything." Kagura's eye moved a little bit. She groaned, "Flirt later, you too." Irene laughed as she looked at her subordinate. "Ah, Kagura, are you jealous of us?" Kagura's face turned bright red. "What? No." Naruto said, "Don't worry, Kagura. I have plans for a date once we leave Makai." Kagura perked up. "Wait, really?" She stopped and coughed quickly into her hand. She said in an awkward way, "I don't mind. I just need to check my schedule." Everyone laughed as they looked at the sword mage. Demaria teased, "You are such a schoolgirl, Kagura." Kagura's blush came back stronger than ever. "Shut up, Demaria." Gildart said to Naruto, "Your love life is interesting, but we should get back to work," as he tried to get things back on track. Naruto gave a shrug. "Alright. Group 3 of training." Gray yelled, "Ice make, cannon. Ice make, serpents." Leon called up a number of huge ice snakes. Ultier yells, "Ice make, Rose and Krona." As ice rose vines fly out of the glyph behind her. Water slicer. Juvia shouted as she called up a bunch of water sickles. Spirit blades. Merity sent several blades of mana. Naruto took a deep breath, grinned, and yelled, "Karyu no Hoko." A huge column of flames shot out of his mouth. All of the ice attacks melted in the great blaze. Juvia's water evaporated almost instantly, and so did the spirit blades, which were made of pure Aethernano. Everyone's eyes get big with shock. They all yelled, "Shit," as they quickly jumped out of the way of the flames. They had to turn away from the flames because they were so hot and cover their eyes because the fire was so bright. "Gah." Gray muttered. "Natsu's flames could never melt my ice so quickly." "Yeah, well, his flames were never blue, either," Leon said. Ultier came to the conclusion, and Natsu is definitely not the king of dragons. Naruto grinned as he decided to tease his new family members. "Come on, Ultier, show your dear old dad what you're made of." "The same goes for you, my dear granddaughter Merity." As their anger and embarrassment grew, they both felt veins pulsing on their heads. "Oh, I'll show you," Ultier growled. "When I've torn you to pieces, I'll be happy." Several rose crones appeared and tried to pierce Naruto and tear him apart. "Tear him apart." Merity yelled as dozens of spirit blades came out of nowhere and flew towards her grandfather. Gray, Juvia, and Leon all started sweating when they saw Naruto laughing as he dodged attacks from his adopted daughter and granddaughter. "Naruto loves to make those two angry," Leon said. "I'm beginning to think he likes it," Gray said. When Leon saw the fire in Merity's eyes, he got a little red. "When she's mad, she's actually quite pretty." Gray gave him a back pat. "Just watch it or Naruto and Ultier will kill you," he said. "Don't keep reminding me." Juvia gushed, "Love is so nice." Group 4 of trainees. As they meditated with their mana swirling around their bodies, all the stellar mages hummed, hum. Anna said, "That's it, just breathe. Let the mana flow through you, and let your connection to the spirit world in the sky fill you." As they slowly got up, everyone in the group let out a deep sigh. Anna yelled, "Now let it go." Jelal yelled, "Lightning bolt." As a bolt of lightning shot out of his hand. Lucy yelled, "Pegasus Sway Sei Ken." As her fists shot out several blasts of stellar mana. Yukino yelled, "Diamond dust." As a blast of cold air shot out of her strong hand. Serrano yelled, "Thunderclaw." As electricity shot out of her strong hand in the shape of a dangerous cobra. Katya yelled, "Nebula chain." As several chains came out of her back and palms. Anna clapped. "That's it. You're making great progress," she said. Serrano huffed, "Still nothing compared to you and Jelal, and we're pretty far behind." Jelal turned his head away. "Don't be so hard on yourselves. It took me years to learn some of these spells, so the fact that you have learned even one is a huge step forward," he said. Anna nodded. "He's right, don't be so hard on yourselves. Pushing yourself is good, but if you don't know when to stop, you'll hurt your body more than help it." Yukino asked, "Speaking from your own experience?" Anna gave a slight giggle. You don't want to know how many times I've had that conversation with my dear husband. Every day? Asked Lucy. Anna giggled again. Not exactly, but it's close enough. Group 5 of trainees. Naruto told his current student, breathe. Eclair took a deep breath and then let it out as her mana left her body. When the mana and Aethernano in the air came together, a beautiful golden flame started to dance around her body. All done. Let the power go through you and out your palms. This power is yours, but it's very unstable, and you'll only be able to use it when you want to, not when you're angry or sad. Eclair's forehead started to sweat as she tried to focus her flames into the palms of her hands. She keeps struggling until her hands burst into flames as she falls to the ground. Eclair let out a groan of frustration. Damn. Naruto put out his hand, which she gladly took. Don't be too hard on yourself. For a beginner, that was amazing. You will learn soon enough if you wait and don't give up. A power that will only belong to you. Eclair gave a snort. Then what should we call it? Phoenix slaying magic? Naruto smiled at her. Well, no one has ever killed a phoenix before. So, I'm excited to see how your magic grows and changes. I hope this will lead you to tell me more about my past as well. Group 6 of trainees. The end of souls. Mira yelled, Satan's soul. Moonblast. Sayla yelled after she had changed. Naruto takes a deep breath and lets out a roar of destruction that rips through the two attacks and makes Mira and Sayla have to move out of the way. Naruto makes a teasing face at them. Now, come. I want to see more of your evil sides. As she changed into her sea-tree soul form, Mira laughed. You'll regret doing that, she said with Sayla nodding. The two demons jumped, but their teacher just smiled and waited. Group 7 of trainees. Boom. Several people are thrown into the air and then hit the ground hard. People who had been hurt moaned as they looked up at their evil taskmaster. Come on, you snake-like jerks. You need to get back in shape after being inactive for 14 years. Naruto called. No thanks to you, Skiadrum said as he and the other dragons that looked like humans started to get up. Igneel smirked. I'm so excited that my blood is boiling. I really want to take him down a notch or two, Grandini growled. Get in line, Gran. You're not the only one who wants him to give them some pounds of flesh. Metallicana replied. As he got up, Waisalohia grunted. I may be old, but I still have a lot to live for. Naruto smirked. Then quit talking about your age and let's get to work. He told them to go ahead. Come get me. The group of dragons made a move. Group 8 of trainees. Naruto grunted as he was hit by several boulders and then stopped when he crashed through the Makai soil. And of all places to bring her to the Makai? I get that you wanted to train her in such a short amount of time, but you couldn't have come up with a different place? Naruto grunted as he stood up and saw his two wives staring at him while powerful auras of mana shot out of their bodies and made the area shake. I knew things could get bad, but I should have known how much anger these two had been holding in for so long. The way I trained Wendy just brought it all out. Listen, I know we don't agree, but Wendy had to get stronger to be able to compete with the strong mages in the GMG. There wasn't enough time in 3 months. Even if she had a second origin and I helped her unlock it, that would not have been enough on its own. She needed to be taught properly. And I needed time and a place to do it, Naruto said. Anna gave her husband a mean look. If you were really pressed for time, you could have made a pocket dimension. Naruto gave his wives a hard look right back. You both know that making a pocket size is a long process that can take months to finish right.
You know just as well as I do that these small dimensions can do a lot of damage to a person's mind.
Many of our allies lost their minds during that time because of the endless voids that were made. The Makai was a better choice. This made the two women even more angry, and Irene used a spell to make a huge fireball fall towards Naruto. The blonde jumped away quickly, but she had to block a sword cut from Anna, who looked very angry. Safer option? Have you forgotten how demented the Makai can be to someone? Have you forgotten what the Forest of Illusions did to us and many of our allies? Or what that damn castle in the center did to you and your failing sanity at the time? Anna roared as beautiful rainbow-colored mana burst out of her body. Naruto gritted his teeth as he fought off his wife's attack. Another person who was just as angry joined in and hit Naruto's blades with her staff. The black dragon let out a loud roar as an azure aura of mana erupted from him. This aura was easily as big and strong as the combined auras of his wives. I have forgotten nothing. I know how dangerous that place could be for someone. I made sure we weren't anywhere near that place because of this. It was dangerous, but we got through it, so I was sure Wendy could too. Naruto gave a growl. Anna's eyes started to well up with tears as she and Irene tried to push Naruto away by putting more mana into their attacks. Damn it, Naruto, Wendy is not like us. She shouldn't be treated like a cheap knockoff. Naruto had finally reached the end of his rope. He yelled at his two wives, I know. As he easily blasted them away with a powerful shockwave of his mana, sending them crashing to the ground. The two ladies of the apocalypse groaned as they looked up and saw Naruto land above them. He was heavily breathing and giving them a fierce look, which they gave back in kind. He starts to calm down after taking a few deep breaths. He turns back to his wives, who are still staring at him. He looked at the two of them and said with a heavy sigh, I know. Listen, I won't say that what I did was right. Even I'm willing to say that some of the things I did to prepare Wendy may have been too much. But we both know that Wendy and the others were in danger during the war. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her like it almost did before. In the end, she proved she could handle the place, and so far, everyone else has done the same. As he stood up and looked at the two, he sighed. I know I crossed the line, but I honestly thought I was doing the right thing. You said that, too, as you progress in your dragonification, Anna gave a reply. Naruto nodded. I know, which is why I was always worried I went too far and told her to let me know if I did. But despite everything, she took it all and grew from the pain. Also, because of who we will have to face, we need to push everyone to their limits and beyond. Still, when Irene began, Naruto stopped her. I'm not going to say I didn't go too far. I'm still getting used to my new normal, which has been thrown off again by all this. But that doesn't make anything okay. So, I'm sorry, and I'll also say sorry to Wendy. Anna and Irene looked at each other for a while before they turned back to him. The three of them stayed quiet for a while. No problem. They said the same thing. Anna said, I was angry, but hearing your point of view makes things easier to understand. You're still responsible. Some changes will still need to be made to the way you do things, but it's not that bad. Naruto's chest was poked by Irene. When the redhead spoke, the blonde just laughed, which made her frown. Thank you. When Naruto got up, he jerked. Ugh. I had forgotten how mean you two can be when you're mad and ready to go. Dragons say that no one else should be so stupid as to do the same. Naruto put his hand out to both of them. Irene grunted as she got up. Well, unlike the others, you can actually heal, which means you can get over the pain of being hit. Naruto gave the two of them a grin. There are times when I wish I was more like you and her. Instant healing wasn't always all it was cracked up to be. The feelings are mutual. The two spoke back. Later that night, a big bonfire was set up, and all of the mages gathered around it. Several pots of food were set up around the main one. Everyone took a plate and filled it up with as much as they could. This is amazing. They cheered as they ate their big dinner. It's like the feast in the palace, but it's different at the same time. Merity cried out. Hey, Happy, don't take all the fish. Carla was angry. Happy jerked back and muttered, sorry. Natsu, don't you dare touch my chicken cutlets. When Gajeel saw the Pinkette try to take one from his plate, he told her not to. You've already had 3. Wait until the next one. Laxus scolded him. Bam. Ow. Urza glared at the fire mage, who grunted. Natsu, don't touch your food. You can get more after the ones you already have are done, right? Natsu fearfully nodded. Yes ma'am. The food tastes so good and has such a full flavor. Mira complimented. I eat all the time. I'd like more. Lucy let out a happy sigh. Seriously, is there anything that you can't do? Natsu asked with great joy. Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. If I say yes, believe me. You have only known me and seen me for a short time. You haven't seen many of my faults yet. So? Have you looked around at the people? No one is perfect. Heck, everyone in Fairy Tail has their own quirks that can work together or clash with someone else. But we somehow make it work. So, it wouldn't be hard for you to fit in. Natsu spoke up. I think you're being a little too nice to me. Naruto replied with a drop of sweat. Natsu gave a nod. Nah. You are just like everyone else. A flawed person who is also cruel. Naruto laughed and barked at the same time. After a few minutes, he was able to calm down and look up at the Makai sky. Human, huh? I haven't thought about what it's like to be a person in a long time. He said it in a sad way. It's been more than 400 years since. Almost 500 for you, sweetie. Anna continued. But it seems like all of that happened a long time ago. Irene groaned. Tell me about the first time you came to Earthland. Natsu asked. Naruto sighed and looked at the people in the room. That's a long story, but I think I can tell you bits and pieces of it. He shut his eyes and thought about the first time he came to Earthland. Everything started in the year X363. Flashback. Arg. Bleg. Ha, ha, ha. Am I real? I'm made of flesh. There is no melting or loss. Ow. I can feel pain. I'm alive. I'm not dead. Eat that, you joke. I pushed you around. No one can stop Naruto Uzo. The young Naruto stopped and shut his mouth with a disgusted look on his face. No, I won't call you that. I am no longer like that. He inhaled deeply. I am simply Naruto. This is a fresh start. A fresh start. Thank you, Shinigami. Thank you, Kurama. I wish we'd become friends earlier. And most of all, thank you, Hinata, for loving me. I will carry our greatest creation until I find the right one. He inhaled deeply of the air around him. It's time to go. Naruto was amazed by what he saw when he looked around. Wow, this place is great. So many trees, though not as many as in Konoha. And there are so many kinds of animals. All of this is so cool. He thinks about a Hyuga with blue hair. I wish you could see all of this. When Naruto hears something, he stops. What did you say? He moves slowly forward and sees an opening in the forest where a big bandit is bothering an old man. Give me everything you own, old man, says the robber. The old man just laughed in a rude way. Never. I won't give you my things because you're a bad kid. The thief gave the old man a mean look. That's the end of it. But before he could hit the old man, Naruto hit him with a flying kick. The thief stood and gave the blonde teen a mean look. Put down your weapons and don't bother the old man. Who are you? Asked the thief. Naruto gave a snort. It's none of your business. Just leave this old man alone and don't bother him again. Like hell, I will. Let's see how you, a boy, deal with a mage. The thief puts all of his magic into his fist. Fall now. Naruto focuses his chakra. No, his mana. Into his palm and makes something he just learned how to do before the Sasuke retrieval mission. A Rasengan with one hand. Let's see what happens. Rasengan. Naruto roared as he smashed the bandit with his sphere of Aethernano, sending him flying into a tree and making him scream in pain. When Naruto saw the thief fall to the ground, he sighed. When he turned around, the old man was staring at him in amazement. Is everything okay? Naruto asked. He gave a small nod. Yes. Thank you, young man. No problem. Who was this person? A simple thief who liked to take advantage of old people. Perhaps I should stay with you until we reach a safe place? The old man gave a head shake. No, I couldn't ask you to do this. I don't have anywhere else to go, so going with you is kind of my only option. Naruto joked. Don't you have any friends or family? Naruto gave a head shake. I'm sorry, I don't. All of them are dead. I see. I'm sorry to have brought up bad memories. He said it in a sad way. Naruto gave a head shake. Don't be worried. It's been a long time. So, would you mind if I came over? Absolutely not. I'm happy about it, and I'm sure everyone in my village will be glad to see you. With a friendly smile, the old man said. Then they started walking to where the old man wanted to go. So, old man, what is your name? Naruto asked. He had a good laugh. Ha. Rubol. Rubol Marvel, 6. Naruto said with a smile, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Rubo had a laugh. You know a thing or two. I have the same thought. Flashback end. Wait, so that's how you met Rubol? Several of the mages asked as Naruto nodded. Huh, So that's where Marvel came from. I always wondered where it came from. Urza said aloud. I wasn't that surprised when he retold his tale. The list of people that both of us were close to was rather small, so it was easy to figure out. Wendy said. What happens next? Gray asked. Naruto shook his head. Sorry, we will have to cut this short. Nearly everyone groaned in disappointment, which caused Naruto to roll his eyes in amusement. Why? Asked someone. We may have somewhere to go tomorrow. So, you should all get a good night's sleep. This goes especially to the Slayers. Everyone looked disappointed but compiled with the older Marvel's wishes. Naruto sighed as he sat in his large tent and contemplates what he felt earlier today. He turns to see both of his wives looking at him in worry. Is everything alright? Anna asked. Did you feel something from the crystal? Irene followed up. Naruto nodded. Yeah. I think it's trying to tell me something. A warning? A message from the previous kings or the primordials? Anna asked. I think it's the latter. And if I am right, it means it's time to start the second half of my plan. He replied. You mean the plan that you have been keeping tight on? Irene teased. Naruto chuckled. That's right. Anna raised an eyebrow in suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion of what it is. But I want to wait and see what it is. Naruto sighed as he laid down on his sleeping mat with Anna and Irene taking the sides next to him. Training is going well, Naruto said after breaking the comfortable silence. Anna hummed. Yeah. They are making great progress in such a short amount of time. Yes, they are. They remind me of the three when we trained with the girls. Irene said before flinching, realizing this may make Naruto uncomfortable. She quickly said, sorry. Naruto shook his head. No, it's alright. I don't mind talking about it. Anna and Irene looked at one another. Are you sure? Anna asked. Naruto nodded. I am. And you're right. They do remind me of them. Irene smirked. Who resembles who? Naruto chuckled. Mira and Sayla are definitely Kazuhana. Anna and Irene giggled. Absolutely. Those two could be her disciples or relatives and I would believe it. Same with Tsukimi and Kagura. Naruto replied. Anna rolled her eyes. That girl is just too easy to tease once you know where she cracks. Naruto smirked. Same with our daughters. And my granddaughter. Irene giggled. It really is too much fun to tease them. They always have the most adorable reactions. Anna looked at her husband seriously. Naruto, you have been rather hesitant with Eclair. Irene nodded. You know that you will have to tell her whatever you're hiding. Naruto sighed. I know. It's just I am afraid that what I tell her will crush her. Both laid their dominant hands on their husband's chest. We know. But you have a responsibility to tell her truth. Irene said. We will be with you no matter what happens or what you decide. Anna followed up. Naruto sighed in appreciation. Thank you. The three closed their eyes as they allowed sleep to overtake them. Unknown realm. Naruto opened his eyes to see himself on a large gray platform. What is this? He could see that was nothing around, but a dark blue space as his skies. He walks to the edge of the platform and looks down to see nothing but a misty void with no end in sight. He turns when he hears an odd moaning that resembles a whale's cry. He sees some weird creatures that resembled whales floating through the starless skies. There also seems to be blue transparent jellyfish floating about and what looked like some kind of serpentine creature with horns on the sides of its head and on top its head swimming in the void. 7. What a strange place, he mused to himself. He has an idea of where he was, and his suspicions were confirmed when a familiar voice spoke to him. Naruto. Naruto looked around to laser in on the voice, but it seems to be coming from everywhere. Lady Giratina. Follow my voice. She commanded. Naruto looked back and walked to the center of the platform. Is this the realm of dreams? He asked. It had been some time since he came into a conscious dream like this. Yes. Or to be more precise, this is your portion of your dream realm. Reality does not follow the same logic as the physical world. You can change it to whatever you may wish if you have mastery over your realm and even travel to others' dreams if you know where to look. Naruto took a deep breath and looked to the void of his dream. What is this calling for, my lady? Naruto, the time has come for you to fulfill your promise to us. Naruto hummed. I see. You know that they will not be the same, correct? Giratina asked in a regretful tone. Naruto bit his lip before nodding. Yes, they may have the same appearance, but they will not be the same comrades I once knew. This is the burden I will carry to atone for the sins I have committed against our pantheon. Very well. We shall see you soon, Naruto. With that, a bright flash illuminated the dark skies and blinded Naruto as everything went white. Real world. Naruto groaned as he woke up in his tent. He looked around to see that he was alone. A warm and inviting aroma filled his nostrils and he instantly recognized what it was. Anna and Irene are making breakfast for everyone. Oh, how he wished he could just go out, greet everyone, and enjoy his wives' cooking after being denied it for centuries. Unfortunately, time was of the essence, and he needed to get everyone ready as soon as possible. So, with great reluctance, Naruto took a quick shower and with a new set of clothes, he went out to the sight of everyone enjoying a very large and delicious morning feast. Everyone was enjoying the food as Naruto came to join them. Before anyone could him, they could tell something was off by the sober look on Naruto's face. Did something happen, Naruto? Anna asked as she set another plate of food down. Naruto tilted his head before shaking his head. Everyone. We will be having a short session today. The Dragon Slayers, my daughters, and the dragons will be coming with me for something important. He announced. A majority looked at him in confusion while the rest recognized what he may be alluding to. Wait. Did something happen? Natsu asked. I had a message. It's time I fulfill an agreement I made with I guess you can call them my superiors. We must go to a specific location to speak with them. This made several heads turn to him. Where exactly are we going? Naruto looked at the group with a serious look. We are heading to Mount Zonia. Several hours later. So, this is the mythical mountain of Zonia. Laxus mused as he looked around the largest mountain in Fury. I always wanted to see what this place looked like. Not as overwhelming as I expected it to be. Wendy said. So, this was where the clash of the Ace and King took place. I must admit, this feels fitting. Urza said. I don't know if it feels a bit empty. Gajeel retorted. Could be worse. Though this is your lair or something? Natsu asked. Naruto shook his head. No, I would not say it's my lair. Just a place that I like to visit from time to time. Everyone, except Anna, Irene, and Wendy looked at him curiously. What exactly draws you to this place? Lucy asked. This place is connected to the dragons. It's so mysterious yet mesmerizing. Due to this weird connection, the dragons decided to do something productive with it. Naruto began walking to the entrance of the cave. Come. Let me show you the point of this journey. Anna, Irene, and Wendy followed without any hesitation. The rest looked at each other with some confusion but shrugged it off as they followed the four. The group continued for several minutes before reaching what seems to be a dead end. In front of them stood a large circular gold gate with two pedestals at its sides. The group could also see two horned dragon statues just a few feet away from them. Here we are, Naruto said. Wow, what a blast from the past, Irene said in a nostalgic tone. Anna nodded. Yup. What exactly is this? Lucy asked. This is known as a dragon gate. It was used by our pantheon as a means of travel to connect to far-off locations to make travel much easier. Anna explained. So, you can just use them to go anywhere you want? Cobra asked. Igneel made a sort of gesture. Not exactly. The gate must exist where you are going. It's like the Eclipse Gate. Though there are some exceptions to this, they need to have a connection to our pantheon. Why are we showing us this now? Laxus asked. Because the last time I tried to use them I was rejected. The gates listen to the wills of the dragons. And what they see as an enemy will not be allowed in. Everyone flinched at that. Ouch. That had to hurt. Gajeel muttered. Naruto nodded. It did, but I deserved it at the time. I hope recent events have caused a slight change of opinion. The blonde sighed as he stretched his arms out and partially closed his hands. The two dragon statues slowly levitated off the ground before being placed into the pedestals. Naruto walked to the front of the gate and performed several hand signs and made a silent mantra in an unknown language. We are not enemies to the dragons. Please open your doors and let us through. For a few seconds, nothing happened until the gate began to glow with something in Naruto's chest began to glow as well. The gate slowly opened and revealed a white glow. Naruto turned to his companions and gestured to the gate. He began walking into the light with everyone, minus Wendy, Irene, and Anna, hesitating before following behind him. Unknown location. When the light faded from everyone's eyes, they now found themselves in a massive desert. All around them was nothing but miles of sand. The only structure for miles is a large stone monument of a serpentine dragon that coiled around the group. Not a single sign of life could be seen. It was like the entire area was devoid of all life except for the mages currently in the middle of the lifeless desert. Now where the hell are we? Lucy asked. From a beautiful mountain range to a barren desert. Altair grimaced from the intense heat she and everyone else was being bombarded with. With a giant stone dragon surrounding us, Merity said. Naruto ignored the childish complaining. These are the desolated lands. Most of the group looked confused by the name, but some recognized it. I think I have heard of this place. A wasteland where there is absolutely no life here. No animal or plant has been able to survive or grow here in centuries. Yet no one knows why. Altair explained. Naruto nodded as he turned to the group. Do you remember what made me infamous in all of Earthland? Lucy looked confused. Yeah. You destroyed an entire country in a single night. Oh shit. Her eyes widened, along with everyone else that did not know the truth. You mean? Sting asked with wide eyes. Yeah, this is the country I destroyed that gave me the infamous title of the Apocalypse Dragon, Naruto replied in a somber tone, yet one could hear the hint of nostalgia within it as he looked at the remains of the fallen country, perhaps remembering what was here once upon a time. So, what is this? Natsu asked as he gestured to the structure around them. This is the Ring of Ouroboros. The most sacred of all the ancient dragon temples. And one of the last ones still standing. For the most part anyway. Naruto explained. The dragon slayers that recognized the name looked around in shock. Wait, this is the temple? The one only the Dragon King can access. Naruto smirked. That's right. And to activate it, we need this. The blonde king stretched his arm up with his hand open and palm facing the sandy ground. Many wondered what they were waiting for. However, their questions were answered when an emerald glow enveloped Naruto's limb. The glow continued to grow brighter as it rose from his palm. Finally, the object fully came out of Naruto's palm. It was a gem the size of an eggplant. It was mostly a golden yellow that radiated a brilliant emerald light. Immediately, everyone felt a change as soon as the crystal appeared. Serenity seems to overpass all of them. For Anna and Irene, they felt a sense of nostalgia wash over them as they looked upon something they had not seen in 4 centuries. What is that? Rogue asked. I feel so calm. And at peace. Gajeel said. It's like a piece I have been missing just suddenly came back to me, Laxus commented with Cobra nodding in agreement. In fact, the Dragon Slayers felt the same as the other mages, feeling the peaceful nature coming from the crystal. Naruto presented the large gem to his audience. The Dragon King Crystal. The Dragon Matrix. The Perfect Core. Code Eve. The Genesis Crystal. The greatest of all dragon crystals. The Soul Dew. It has many names, but the one you may be familiar with is the Orathon. The proof of one being the Dragon King. Whoa. That was all anyone could say as they gazed at the gem. Naruto gave them a nod to follow him to the center of the ring. Once they reached the epicenter of the ancient, the group saw several pedestals placed in a circle with each one shaped to hold a unique item. What kind of altar is this and what's up with the pedestals? Natsu asked in confusion. The one in the center seems to be made for the Orthon, but what the others were meant to hold was a mystery for him and most of the group. Naruto shook his head. Those are a story for another time, but let's just say they would usually hold the other relics of our pantheon. Before anyone could ask another question, he raised his hand to cease any more questions for now. Naruto placed his gem onto the center pedestal. The gem glowed for a few seconds before shrinking to the size of a large round crystal. For a second, nothing happened until the crystal began to glow a brilliant shade of emerald. The shine continued to glow brightly that it was becoming difficult for anyone to gaze at the crystal. Finally, the gem's shining reached its apex as a massive pillar of light erupted from the gem and flew into the skies. Nearly everyone had to cover their eyes from the blinding light. Several shockwaves rippled across the arena and blowing the countless pounds of sand out of the temple and leaving a marble ground. The stone statue of the temple glowed a deep emerald similar to the gem as a dome began to rise out the structure until it enveloped the entire temple. Everyone looked around to see themselves trapped in a dome area. Before anyone could speak, everyone paused as everything went still and silent. Suddenly an immeasurable amount of mana began pushing down on them. The sheer force and size of the mana being sensed was indescribable as nearly everyone was pushed to the ground. "What's going on?" Sting asked. This pressure," Gajiel muttered. "It's immeasurable. Not even Naruto made us feel like this," Laxus said. Irene, Anna, Wendy, and the dragons smirked. As expected from the four of them. Suddenly 4 large portals appeared before the group. They were each around 100 meters tall, which towered over the group, even over those he could become a dragon. The pressure seems to double with the 4 silhouettes coming from the portals. Then 4 beings came out of the portals. From the blue portal came a quadrupedal blue-scaled beast with silver accents on its legs and chest with a blue gem in the center of its chest. From the pink portal came a bipedal beast with a mostly gray body, long neck, pink accents, and 2 pearls on its shoulder. From the black portal came a familiar black and gray serpentine dragon with gold accents. Finally, from the golden portal came a quadrupedal white-furred beast with a golden crown around its abdomen. Everyone looked at the 4 beasts in reverence. "I present you all to Giratina, Palkia, Dialga, and finally Arceus. The 4 primordials of our pantheon and the creators of this universe we all reside in," Naruto announced.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.